स्वयं रूप मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। वन्देहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वंचाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। सर्वशास्त्रादि पीयूष सर्ववैदिक सत्फल सर्वसिद्धांत रत्नाद्य सर्वलोकैक दृक्पद सर्वभागवत प्राण श्रीमद्भागवतो प्रभु कलिदंतो तितादित्य श्रीकृष्ण परिवर्तिता परमानंद पाठाय प्रेम वर्ष अक्षराय ते सर्वदा सर्वसेवाय श्रीकृष्णाय नमोस्तुते। मद एक बंधु मद संगीन मद गुरु मद महादन मद निष्ठारक मद भाग्य मद आनंद नमोस्तुते। असाधु साधु तादाइन अति नीचोत ताकर हाना मुंचा कदाचिन्मा प्रेम हृत्कंतयो स्फुरः। नारायण नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। शृण्वतां स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्य श्रवण कीर्तनं हृदयन्तस्तु अभद्राणि विधुनोति सुरसताम्। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। Hare Krishna. So welcome everyone. Thank you all so much for joining, and welcome Varshana Priya Mataji. Very happy, nice to have you. Congratulations on your initiation.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to discuss. Maybe I'll just do a quick review of the last section of the chapter 16 because that we went a little bit fast. So we'll discuss quickly the last section and then we'll start with chapter 17. Okay. So any realizations, any thoughts from this week that you would like to share? We can start with a quick sharing session from chapter 16. Any points that you remember from last time's class that you would like to?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. One point that comes out strong, and it's a good message, is, when sages ask Shaunaka Rishi if it is only associated with Krishna Kada, describe why, Parikshit did not kill. So it is a reminder again that don't get involved in any kind of prajalpa.
Nice. Yeah, only, and we see this again and again in Bhagavatam. If it relates to Krishna Katha, then please speak. Otherwise, we are not interested. But, thank you. Anyone else?
Prabhuji, on the same lines, verse number 6, that we should never waste a single moment of time because the life is very, very short. And I was also relishing on this, that simply by appreciating the dealings of the Lord with his pure devotees, one can attain salvation.
Like particular verse number 6, it says, Makaranda Liham Satam, that Satam, the devotees, they are used to licking the honey from the lotus feet of the Lord. Such a beautiful, so it's such a nice, wonderful, poetic way of expressing how the devotees, they just like to hear Harikatha. Right? Kim Anya Sad Alapaya, Ayusha Sad Asad Vaya. What is the use of anything else which is only Asad, right? It is temporary. It is Ayusho, it is actually reduces one's life, right? Why waste time in all these things? Thank you. Anyone else?
Hare
Verse,
Krishna.
7, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Prabhuji. It's fine. I picked
Yeah,
the same
the
verse, so you can.
verse 7 and 8 is basically people are looking for deathlessness and how to avoid death. So I think if Yamaraj is
Yeah.
hearing also Krishna Katha, then we are far away from death.
Yeah, whenever we have Krishna Katha, we also invite Yamraji, please come to this assembly so we can continue relishing the nectar of Bhagavatam. It is so wonderful, we don't want to stop. Thank you, Prabhu. Go ahead, Lamang.
Yes, Prabhuji, I really like the same point to what Acharya Gopinath
Okay.
Prabhu says. Yeah, I really like the one who is like remedy to death is continuously hear the Bhagavatam. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I like the 16th text where it says, we get bhakti by hearing the interactions of the Lord with with his devotees. So that's like Lord likes to glorify his devotees.
It's such a wonderful point, and that's why it says that Bhagavatam Bhakti Utpadate Pumsam Shoka Moha Bhayapaha. Right?
Mm.
So what are the benefits of hearing Bhagavatam? One is actually the main benefit that Acharya says is Bhakti is actually reawakened in the core of our heart. And other secondary benefits are Shoka, Moha, Bhaya, all those things are washed away. But the primary benefit is Bhakti, which is not of this world, can be reawakened just by hearing or appreciating these interactions between the devotees and Krishna. Thank you. Any other points?
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
I like the point that the Pandavas are malleable to the will of Krishna, and Krishna's malleable to the will of his devotees. How they are able, they want to just serve each other.
Point was malleable. Just malleable to the will of the Lord. Thank you. Okay, so anything else? We get started. Chapter. Okay, so towards the end of the 16th chapter, we heard about how after Dharma has asked Dhara, Mother Earth, the question about, why are you lamenting? Like your situation is, and we read like how was Mother Earth lamenting? What was the example that was given? Remember. How was her lamenting condition? It's like important, that's why I'm asking this question. What is the example that Bhagavatam gives? It says,
Like some calf is like she lost her child.
just like a mother who's lost a child or a cow who's lost her calf, in that way. So we can imagine that, that pain if a mother loses a child, how painful that is. And that is the kind of pain that Mother Earth was actually experiencing. She was crying because of that. And then Dharma, as a bull, he actually comes and he asks, like, why are you lamenting? Are you lamenting because I have lost 3 of my legs? Dharma, I have lost 3 of my legs. Or are you lamenting because, we read all these conditions because goddess of learning is now handled by people who are actually corrupt, right? Or the general populace is just involved in, activities which are actually not meant for human class of people. And then finally he comes to a point that, oh, are you lamenting because the Lord has left, right? And then in that separation, are you lamenting because of that? And then the Mother Earth starts speaking, and then she says that, and then basically she comes to a point right away, and she says that yes, because the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has actually ended his pastimes. And because he ended his pastime, then they list us 40 qualities. And because the Lord has departed, then all those qualities have actually departed. And hence I'm feeling that separation. And then also she expresses that, a great fortune, that how she was so fortunate that, and then she compares a fortune with 2 personalities, right? Who are them? One is Lakshmiji and one is Satyabhama, right? And then she says that, oh, how even Lakshmiji, she's performing austerity for such a long time to actually enter the Ras Leela, but she is actually not able to enter. But Mother Earth is saying, I am so fortunate that actually Krishna was right there with his bare foot. The footprints of Krishna's lotus feet was always in contact with Mother Earth. So she's saying, I am so fortunate in that way. Lakshmi Ji could not enter those most intimate pastimes, but I am so fortunate that I was there, and because the Ras Leela was performed on the Earth planet. And so in that way, she's expressing her great fortune. And then after she's saying that, but at the end, when I was feeling so fortunate, the Lord left. Right. And the second point, again, she says, she compares, she talks about Satyabhama, and she says that who can tolerate separation from the Lord? He could conquer the gravity and passionate wrath of Satyabhama by his sweet smiles, pleasing glances, and hearty appeal. So basically, she's saying that even the queens of Dwarka, they actually had separation from Krishna. Right? We read that Krishna actually, he leaves Dwarka, he used to come to Hastinapur, he used to come to even Vrindavan. Right? We read that verse previously also. He used to come to Vrindavan, but he never left the surface of Mother Earth. Right? So Mother Earth is feeling so fortunate that the queens have to lament that separation, but we don't. Like, I am so fortunate that I'm always in contact with the Lord. Right? And then we discussed the pastime of like how the gopis, after the Ras Leela, actually when the Ras Leela was going on, and the gopis, as such, felt that pride, then Krishna actually he left, and then is described how the gopis were like in such a, searching for Krishna, and in that state of almost madness, searching for Krishna, they were actually asking the grass, they were asking the trees, and then finally they said, no one is answering us. Where is Krishna? Right? And then finally said, oh, certainly Mother Earth will know, because she certainly has to know where is Krishna gone. Right? And then they said, yes, okay, then they asked Mother Earth, but then they say, but she has not experienced the separation that we have experienced. So maybe she will not reply to us. But the point is, Mother Earth certainly knows where Krishna is. Right? So the gopis turn to Mother Earth and they ask. Okay, so after that entire conversation, now we come to chapter 17, where the last verse of chapter 16 has said that, where Dharma and Dhara were actually having this conversation, right? That's actually the major part of chapter 16. At the end of the conversation, who came to the scene? Parikshit Maharaj, right? And we discussed that how Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has actually made the point that Parikshit Maharaj was seeing this, out of his meditation, he had divine eyes to actually see this. Right? It wasn't like something that was commonly visible to people. It was just something that Maharaj Parikshit, because he wanted to see why is Kali like influencing different paths, and he had the desire to see, then this scene was entirely manifested to him. Right? So now Parikshit actually he arrives at the scene. So that's how chapter 17 starts. In chapter 17, basically the sections are Maharaj Parikshit is going to, have conversation with Kali, and then he's going to talk to the cow and the bull. And a major section of this chapter is Maharaj Parikshit is asking Dharma, the bull, that who has caused your condition like this? Who has caused your condition like this? And we'll see what Dharma actually says. And one may just say like, there is Kali. He's dressed like a Shudra. He's beating them. He's right there. Why is Parikshit even asking that who is the perpetuator? And why is Dharma not directly saying that, oh, this person, Kali, he's right here. He's the perpetuator. He does not say that. Why? Right? So that is the major theme of this chapter. That's in the center, the middle verses of this. We'll read that entire section. There's Dharma to Parikshit Maharaj, he actually talks. And then after that, Parikshit Maharaj, he consoles Dharma. And because Dharma does not directly point out the perpetuator, he says, Maharaj Parikshit, you are intelligent. You use your intelligence, you determine who is the perpetuator. And then the final part of this chapter is where Kali actually is. Okay, this Kali, he is responsible for all the acts of irreligion. I should kill him right away. And then we see how Kali actually surrenders unto Parikshit Maharaj. And then Parikshit Maharaj says, oh, because you have surrendered unto me, I am a Kshatriya, I cannot kill you. And then he actually says, okay, so you surrender unto me, because you have surrendered, I cannot kill you, but but you cannot stay here. Because wherever Kali is, There's going to be all irreligious activities. Right? And then finally, Kali actually says, I'm surrendered to you. Like, okay, I cannot stay here, but where can I stay? If I'm a surrendered citizen, you need to give me a place to stay, right? And then the 5 places that will come to that. Maharaj Parikshit says, okay, these 4 places you can stay. But then Kali says, well, all these 4 places are not there in your kingdom. So give me one more place, and then the 5th place, and that's how this chapter ends. Okay, so let's start. So let's see who can do the order this time. So Ratnana, because she's joined on. You can-
I can send it to your text one second. Yeah.
Okay, so
Oh, I see.
one minute. Okay, someone can start maybe, or okay, just give me a minute. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Okay, anyone? Yeah, I got it. Okay, so we'll start with Arundhati Mataji. So you can start. Text number 1.
Hare Krishna. Next one. Sutta Uvacha Tatra Go Mithunam Raja Hanyamanam Anathavat Dandahastam Cha Vrisharam Dadrashe Nripalanchanam. Translation. Sutta Goswami said, after reaching that place, Maharaj Parikshit observed that a lower caste Sudra dressed like a king was beating a cow and a bull with a club as if they had no owner. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So here particularly it says Tatra, after Parikshit actually came to that place, Tatra came to that place, Go Mithuna. Go is cow, Mithuna is bull, right? And then Hanyamanam, they were being beaten, Hanyamanam beaten, as if Anathavat, right? So that point Prabhupada explains in the purport, Anathavat. Anatha, I think everyone can relate to the word Anatha. Anatha means one who is does not have parents, who is orphan. So here, Maharaj Parikshit is seeing that they are being beaten as if they don't have an owner, right? And to that, Prabhupada actually makes the point in the purport that it is a duty of the Vaishya, like how Bhagavad Gita actually makes the point, Krishi Go Raksha Vanijyam Vaishya Karma Swabhavajam. It is a duty of the Vaishyas to what? Krishi Go Raksha Vanijyam. Go. They have to protect the cows. And because the Vaishyas are not doing the duty of protecting the cows, right? And then these cows are actually as if they are Anatha. So Prabhupada points out in the purport that even the Vaishyas, they are actually meant to protect the cows and bulls, but they are not doing their job, and hence there is no one to give protection to the cows and bulls. So that's one point Prabhupada says. And then basically here it is saying, again he says the Nripa Lanchana. Nripa Lanchana, we read this in the previous chapter also. Nripa Linga, right? And basically a king, a Shudra who is dressed like a king. Right? Nripa means king, a Shudra who is dressed like a king. So he saw that this Kali or a Shudra who is dressed like a king is actually beating them. Here particularly, it's not mentioned Kali, it is mentioned Vrishalam, a lower caste Shudra. Right? He was actually beating them. And then here, in these purports, Prabhupada actually, he goes step by step and points out what are the principal signs of Kali Yuga. Right? And then the first one he actually says in this verse is that the Shudra class men will actually take up the position of kings, right? Because here it says Nripa Lanchanam. And who is that? Vrishalam. A Shudra class man will actually become an administrator. And we see that, right? Right now in the population, our government is mainly like Shudra, or like worse, how Prabhupada says, it's like Naishya and Yavana categories. Like they actually take up administrative posts. So that is the first sign of Kali. And the second sign Prabhupada says is that innocent animals like cows and bulls will actually be killed, slaughtered, and so on. So these two Prabhupada says are the signs of Kali Yuga. And further in the purpose, again he'll say, further this is a sign of Kali Yuga, and he actually stresses on that point. Okay, let's go next, number 2.
Next to
Vrisham Rinalandva Dhavalam Mehantam Iha Bibhayantam Vepamanam Padakena Shidantam Shudra Taditam. Translation: The bull was as white as a white lotus flower. He was terrified of the Shudra who was beating him, and he was so afraid that he was standing on one leg, trembling and urinating.
So here it describes the symptoms of like, okay, Maharaj Parikshit is seeing the cow and the bull who are beaten by a Shudra like that. So what is the situation of the bull is being described? So in the previous verse also Prabhupada says that how cow is actually giving us milk, the bull is actually, it helps with agriculture and gives grains. The cow is actually our mother, bull is our father. Right? So how can you actually hurt these people? And even we see in Chaitanya Charitamrita when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is having a conversation with Chankasi, actually, that we know after that entire episode, where there was this civil disobedience movement, which Prabhupada said is the first civil disobedience movement. Everyone went, and then when the conversation was there, then there was this point that, why do you actually, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made the point, cow is our mother, she gives us milk. And bull is our father because he's used in agriculture to give grains. Like he's providing for us. Right? Why do you actually kill your own cow, your own mother and father? Okay. Now in text 2, when he sees the bull, dharma, then what is the vision? He says, Mrinala Dhavalam. Mrinala Dhavalam means as white as a lotus. Right? So dharma is actually represented by that purity, the one who is actually white or truthful. Like they are all signs of that white nature, as white as a lotus. But though that's his original color, he was actually right now urinating because he was so afraid. He was actually passing urine. He was trembling because he was terrified, and he was standing on one leg. Right? And Chakravarti Pad actually refers to that point of like, urinating to refer to the point that, when you're releasing water, it's like at every moment, So it's basically explaining that at every moment, the religion was actually diminishing. To actually explain to that word of urinating, Chakravarti Pad says that every moment the religion was actually diminishing further and further. Right? Okay, in the purport, Prabhupada says, next symptom of Kali, right? So first symptom is administrators. Second symptom is innocent animals are killed. Now he says the next symptom of Kali is that the principles of religion, which are spotlessly white, like a white lotus flower, right? They will be attacked by uncultured Shudra-like population. So the next symptom, Prabhupada says that the basic principles of religion, like Shudra class men will actually try to negate those principles of religion. So Prabhupada explains further that persons who are religious, they will be actually tortured, right? And those who are and many so-called religious groups will spring up and they will actually kill the pure religion. So what's going to happen, like second symptom of Kali that Prabhupada is explaining, is that the people in general, so there are some people who are religious. So those who are religious, they will be tortured, right? And then the remaining people will develop some new groups, so-called religions, right? And they'll further diminish the true principles of religion. And we see in Kali Yuga, there are so many spiritual groups, like so many groups, but many of them are just like so-called religion. In the name of religion, they are just running like a social or a cultural club. That's what that means. Or in the name of religion, they're just taking money from people, exploiting people, and so on. Right? How many of these spiritual or religious, so-called religious groups are actually talking of true religion, right? Establishing the true religion. And one of the purpose later on in this chapter, Prabhupada makes a point. What does it mean to establish true religion, right? And he says these 4 principles: austerity, truthfulness, mercy, cleanness. This is actually the 4 limbs of religion. So even though people may follow different faiths, But if these 4 aspects are not maintained, then we cannot tell that they are religion. These 4 are actually the legs of true religion. The next point Prabhupada says is the people of religion people of this age of Kali will actually attack religion, and then there will be no more any respect for sadhu, shastra, and guru. Right? So, like Prabhupada makes this point that even in India, like, you can say, even I would say like 20, 30 years back, if there is a sannyasi, if there is someone dressed like, there is respect for them. Oh, he's a sadhu. There is some kind of respect, And even if you go a little bit earlier, as soon as there is sadhu, people give something. Oh, there is a sadhu come, let me give him some food, let him give him some milk, give him something. He's a sadhu, he deserves that respect. But now there is no longer any respect. People in general, when they see a sadhu, they say like, oh, it's just, maybe a pretender. That's what they think. So all that is actually the influence of Kali Yuga. No respect for sadhu, shastra, and guru. Okay, text number 3. Who's next? Gandhi Prabhu is not here. Gopinath Prabhu.
Yeah. Gam cha dharma tu gandhinam visham shudra padahatam vivatsam ashru vadanam shamam yavasam ichchatim. Although the cow is beneficial because one can draw religious principles from her, she was now rendered poor and calfless. Her legs were being beaten by a Shudra. There were tears in her eyes, and she was distressed and weak. She was hankering after some grass in the field.
So now here, so he's already described what he saw about the bull. Now he's describing how did he see the cow. Right? So here it said the cow, although the cow, and the word that is actually very nice here, dharma dugdam. Dharma dugdam is one can actually draw religious principles from cow. What does that mean? One can draw religious principles from cow? Because the cow actually gives milk. And that milk can actually be, from milk you get ghee. And that ghee is actually used to perform sacrifices. So the word dharma dugdam means the cow from whom we can draw religious principles, because she is actually the giver of ghee to perform sacrifices. Right? So if, and we read about the importance of performing sacrifices, right? We discussed this last time also. When you do sacrifices and how the demigods are pleased and how they give everything in return, and then the entire cycle of sacrifices is completed. But without ghee, what kind of yajna will you do? What kind of sacrifice will you do? Right? So hence cow is actually dharma dugdam. You can draw religious principles from the cow. Then, so he saw, although the cow is beneficial because one can draw religious principles, how is her condition now? She is now rendered poor and calfless. So Prabhupada actually makes this point in the purport, calfless, that when the cow, Prabhupada says, the cow's calf is not only beautiful, right? And we have seen, like when you go to a goshala, you see the calf, and it's like so beautiful. Like naturally you feel affection for the calf. So Prabhupada says the calf is not only beautiful, but when the cow actually sees the calf, then immediately she actually generates milk and she's ready to give sufficient milk. Right? So now the cow is actually poor and calfless. So if there's no calf, then the cow will not give milk. Right? So that is the situation. And the main essence of the cow is the milk, because from milk you can perform religious principles. And now the cow is calfless, so hence there's no milk. And Prabhupada points out the third symptom, or well, we can say fourth. So fourth symptom of Kali in this purport, Prabhupada says, is that the condition of the cow is deteriorated to such an extent, and that is a symptom of Kali. And her legs are beaten, and again it said, Ashru Vadanam, again there are tears in her eyes, and she was distressed and weak, right? And then she was hankering after some grass in the field. So this point is actually Ichchatam Yavasam, and she was desiring to eat grass. And that point, Chakravarti Pad is actually explaining that because there were no sacrifices, right? The cows, as such, was not getting any share of sacrifice. So she was desiring to have the share from the sacrifice, and she was not getting that. So that is like it was as if she was desiring for some grass. So, so again, just revisiting the condition. So first is Vrisham Dinam, poor and distressed. Second is Vivatsam Ashru Dharanam. So when it says calfless, so and tears in her eyes, so that Chakravarti Pad is actually explaining as one is dharma is destroyed, and second, because there are no sacrifices, there are no rains, and then no grains. So no grains also, right? So that is actually Vivatsam, the calfless, Chakravarti also explains, like there are no more grains anywhere, right? Shamam, very weak. Why is she so weak? Because there are no sacrifices performed. Ichchatam Yavasam, and she desires some share from sacrifices. She's not getting that. So that is the condition of the cow, right? So Prabhupada in the purport, he says, next symptom of Kali is this distress condition of the cow. Right? And then he says, even 50 years back, and we read this in relationship to whom? That he used to go door to door just for enough time so that a cow can be milked. Sukadev Goswami, right? We read that. So Prabhupada says, like even 50 years back, all these sages used to go to different house, and the household used to have cows, and they used to milk the cow and give milk to the sages. And again, Prabhupada points out that how milk is, in this purpose or in one of these purposes, Prabhupada said how milk is actually such a miracle food. Again, Prabhupada stressed that. We read that in the previous chapter also, that how milk is so wonderful. And then Prabhupada says, according to Vedic principles, it's a duty for every householder to have cow and a bull. Right? Cow and a bull. Right? Not only for drinking milk, but also for deriving religious principles. So it is unfortunate that in this age, none of us have, maybe some of them have in India, cows and bulls. But I often think in US, like, we should all like, because there are some ahimsa farms, and, this is my personal vision that I have, that, everywhere where there are devotee communities, like devotees should come together and purchase land and have cows. Like for one family to actually have like cows and land, and it is a lot, right? Because even the maintenance of cows and to take care of cows, it's quite involved. But if a group of families, many of them come together, purchase land, have cows, have people pay, then that's that is the ideal. And we see like Prabhupada had this desire of establishing farm communities where the agriculture and cows are protected. So we should all think, how we can actually make this happen. And I feel it is doable, but it's just like we need a nice group and coordination and understanding the importance of cow protection, how it is so important according to Vedic culture, right? And then once we get that, like last time there was this question that, what about milk? Like we get store-bought milk that's from cows who are not treated properly, and then all the problems will be solved with that. Like you get ahimsa milk, you can offer Krishna nice milk sweets, and then and as we read in these purports again and again, when cows are protected, then the entire human civilization is happy. Such an important, and Krishna is pleased. Go Brahmana Hitaya. Right? So, okay. And then Prabhupada points out that how in this age of Kali, how the cows are treated, the calves are actually separated from the cows, and the cows are like such a pitiable condition. Cows are, as soon as like they stop giving milk, sent to slaughterhouses, and it's like very, very painful condition. Like this is already like 5,000 years into Kali Yuga, the condition is so poor, we cannot even imagine how it would go further. Okay. And Prabhupada points out that people do not know what they are doing in the name of economic development. They're trying so much that, oh yeah, we'll do this, we'll become happy, but they do not know the secret. What is the secret for happiness? Protect the cows and the bulls. And Prabhupada says this is the law of nature, that if you can protect cows and bulls, establish a Brahminical culture, everyone will be happy. It's a law of nature, Prabhupada says. Right? And then finally, last sentence, very nice. Let us take this from the authority of Srimad Bhagavatam and adopt the principles for total happiness of humanity. Srimad Bhagavatam is repeatedly making the point, let's adopt this principle And by that, the entire human society will become happy. That's the real secret. Not all this so-called human economic development. This is the real secret. Okay, text number 4.
Text 4. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yeah. Prapacharamarujaha kartaswara parichadanam megagambiraya vacha samaropita karmukaha. Translation, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Maharaja Parikshit, well equipped with arrows and bow and seated on a gold embossed chariot, spoke to him, the Shudra, with a deep voice sounding like thunder. Hare Krishna.
So here it uses the word Gambhiraya, right? Like a cloud. So when Maharaj Parikshit, he saw this condition. So if you just see like previous condition, previous verse, the condition of a cow. Before that, the condition of a bull, right? And then the entire situation in verse number 1. And then now he saw this. And what did he do? He Gambhira, like a cloud, like a thundering of cloud. His voice was like so strong, right? So he started speaking to this Shudra with a deep voice sounding like thunder. And then they describe that how he was so well equipped with arrows and bows. And Prabhupada points out that, the administrators, right, should not only like dress like a king, but they should have that power to actually punish the miscreants. And here, Parikshit was so powerful. He had the bows and arrows. He was on a, gold embossed chariot, right? And he was so powerful that he could actually counteract, right? He had that power to actually counteract this influence of Kali. Okay, so Prabhupada says only dress or title that, oh, he's a king, does not count. One's actions are actually counted, right? Okay. So text number 5. So many of these verses, you'll see there's not so much Prabhupada. Actually, if you see the purports of this chapter, Prabhupada talks a lot about, what is good administration, how to run a good government. So you see that Prabhupada's vision was, yes, okay, yeah, we people who take up Krishna consciousness, Bhagavatam is all talking about bhakti, how to get the highest state. But Prabhupada is also, again and again pointing out principles, how to establish a proper society, how the government should be, what are the rules of the government. Like yesterday, someone had asked a question, I made this point. And Prabhupada says in this purpose that one who is actually in the administrator, he should be second initiated. He should be trained into the Srimad Bhagavatam. Right? That's why I mentioned that. Those who actually, there should be a condition. If you want to take any government position, you have to pass your Bhakti Vaibhav exam. Then you can actually stand for a government. That should be the condition. Prabhupada is actually stressing that point here. Second initiated, he should be initiated, like not just, we say like first birth and second birth, right? First birth is biological, second is by a spiritual master. So he needs to have that dvija, second birth, and he needs to be trained in this spiritual knowledge. Right? Okay. Text number 5.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Tastvam akacharani loke baladhamshi abalan bali naradevo ashivashveshena natavat karmana dvijaha. Translation: Oh, who are you? You appear to be strong, and yet you dare kill within my protection those who are helpless. By your dress, you pose yourself to be a godly man, king, but by your deeds, you are opposing the principles of the twice-born Kshatriyas. Hare Krishna.
So when he is there, with the sword and everything, and he sees the Shudra the Shudra dressed like a king, he starts off by saying, Kahatvam, who are you? Right? Kahatvam, who are you? And Sharane, Balat, okay. And who are you? And then further he says, you appear to be strong, but your actions here are that of the weak. So he says like, Abalan, you are actually hurting those who are actually helpless. Right? And that is actually Sharan, within my protection. You are in my kingdom. You appear to be strong, yet to dare to kill those who are actually Abala. Abala means those who are helpless. Right? And then further he says, Naradeva, you are dressed like a king, but your deeds are those of a Advijaha. Like if you see the last Sanskrit word, Advijaha. So we know Dvijaha means twice born, right? Advijaha means a man not twice born by culture. Right? A man who does not understand the spiritual principles. So by your karmana, by your deeds, you are actually acting like a man who is actually not a king, but who is like doing the activities of a opposing that of a Dvija, twice born Kshatriya. So actually in this purport, I already mentioned this point, how Prabhupada mentions that that how the administrative class or the higher class, they should have this birth of cultural rejuvenation by spiritual initiation, right? The condition for anyone who is actually in the higher class is that he needs to have spiritual initiation. Otherwise, he's not qualified to actually become an administrator. And then Prabhupada says the Kshatriya king is actually a representative of God. So if he's a representative of God, so he needs to know what is actually dharma, right? Without knowing dharma, how can you be a representative of God? And then, right, and again, Prabhupada points out. So this is a point that you'll see again and again. Prabhupada says that it's a duty of a king to actually give protection to praja, right? And if you see praja, what does the word praja mean? One who has taken birth. So praja is not only limited to the human class of people, but praja actually includes all the animal class. So it's the duty of the king, the administrator, to give protection to all praja, to all animals and to human beings, right? Everyone who's born in the country. And then further, like how we read, it's a duty of the king to first give protection to those who are helpless, abala. And these animals, like particularly the cows, they are innocent, they are helpless animals. So furthermore than giving protection to the human class of people, more important to give protection to these helpless people. Right? The Prabhupada points that out in the purport. And then Prabhupada says, like right now, the powerful administrators are just worthless lower class men without the cultural assets of the twice born. Okay, next verse. Let's go text 6.
Hare Krishna. Yastvam Krishne gate duram sah gandiva dhanva sochyo asochan rahasi praharan vadham arhasi. You rogue, do you dare beat an innocent cow because Lord Krishna and Arjuna, the carrier of the Gandiva bow, are out of sight? Since you are beating the innocent in a secluded place, you are considered a culprit and therefore deserve to be killed.
So here is saying, you rogue, and then here it says, yes, tvam Krishne gate, right? Krishna, now because Lord Krishna, and he says, Saha Gandiva Dhanvana, because Krishna and Saha Gandiva Dhanvana is who? Arjun. Because Krishna and Arjun are now gate, are now out of sight, hence you dare to do such an abominable task of beating a cow and bull, right? So here one way Maharaj Parikshit is actually challenging. You are thinking that now Krishna and Arjun have gone, right? So now you can actually come and take power, right? You can actually become powerful and show your influence. But don't you see, I am right here. I am as powerful as Arjun. I have the power to defeat you. So that way Maharaj Parikshit is actually challenging. Since you are beating the innocent in a secular place, you are considered culprit and therefore deserve to be killed. Right? So Chakravarti Pad is actually making the point that Kali may say that you are the king of the country, but I am the king of time. So it is now my time now, right? Now Kali has started, so it is my time, right? And then Parikshit Maharaj says, where were you when Krishna and Arjun were here, right? And then Kali says, I was there, but I did not have any power to actually give my, to spread my influence because of fear of Krishna and Arjun. And Parikshit Maharaj is actually saying, now I am as strong as Arjun. If you're fearful of Arjun, now see, you are a culprit, you deserve to be killed, I will kill you right away. So that's why Parikshit Maharaj is actually establishing that point to Kali that you're actually doing such a horrible task that I have the power, I can defeat you. So Prabhupada in the purpose starts off with a very interesting sentence. He says, in a civilization where God is conspicuously banished, right? So, so the point is, like, in the society or the government or people in general, they may not directly say, oh, there is no God or anything, right? But conspicuously, they will actually take out God from the picture. Oh, we should have a secular state. We should have a secular country. Then everyone will be happy. Consequently, one by one, they are actually taking out the presence of God from the society, from people, from people's hearts, and consequently, everything is actually taken out for a God-centered society. And Prabhupada says that such murderers of animals stand to be condemned to death by the order of a pious king like Maharaj Parikshit, right? So Prabhupada is saying that those who actually are agents of Kali, they are actually killing innocent people, right? They should be condemned to death. So if you see in these purports also, Prabhupada is very strong, very heavy, particularly of those who actually open these slaughterhouses to unrestrictedly kill animals. Text number 7.
त्वं वा मृणालधवलं पादेनूनापदाचरणं वृषे रूपेण किं कश्चित् देवो न परिखेदयन्. Then he Maharaj Parikshit asked the bull, "Oh, who are you? Are you a bull as white as the white lotus, or are you a demigod? You have lost 3 of your legs and are moving on only one. Are you some demigod causing us grief in the form of a bull?"
So, so after, like, that conversation with Kali, now he's actually turning and he's asking Dharma, right? Again, we see he's asking Kwa. Again, he says Tvam. So again, he says, right? So Kim Kashit. So he says, like, oh, who are you, right? Are you a bull as white of Mrinala Dhavala? So we read that word before also, right? Mrinala Dhavala. That means as white as a lotus, right? As white as a lotus. Or are you a demigod? So the other word that is actually used is Devaha. Are you a demigod, right? And then he says you have lost 3 of your legs and are moving on only one. So we read this even in previous chapter, how the bull has lost 3 legs and is just standing on one leg, right? So are you some demigod causing us grief in the form of a bull? So Prabhupada in the purport makes a point that at least up to the time of Maharaj Parikshit, no one could ever imagine that a cow and a bull would be tortured to such an extent. And Maharaj Parikshit was astonished. Who can actually do such a thing? Cow and the bull, they are a mother and father. They are actually worshipable animals. Who would do such a degraded task? So Maharaj Parikshit was astonished to see this condition. Okay. Now text number 8.
Najatu Auravendranam Dordanda Parirambhite Bhutale Nupatantyasmin Vinate Praninam Shuchaha. Now, for the first time in a kingdom well protected by the arms of the kings of the Kuru dynasty, I see you grieving with tears in your eyes. Up till now, no one on earth has ever shed tears because of royal negligence.
So further is actually making a point. Now, for the first time, right? Na Jatu, not at any time. Kaurava Indriyanam. Indranam, Kaurava Indranam. Indranam means the king, the best of the Kurus, right? Of the kings in the Kuru dynasty. So he says, like, till this time in the Kuru dynasty, right? It has never happened that the cows and the bulls are actually being hurt. Right? Well protected by the arms of the kings of Kuru, I see you grieving with tears in your eyes. Up till now, no one on earth has shed tears because of royal negligence. Like, the kings have been so powerful that they have always given protection to the innocent people up to this time. But this is the first time that in this entire kingdom of Kuru dynasty, all the kings, this is the first time this is happening, that the innocent are actually being tortured. Prabhupada in the purport makes a point that the protection of life, both of the human beings and the animals, is the first and foremost duty of a government. So it's simply horrible for a pure-hearted soul to see such organized animal killing. Actually, it's such a poor, pitiable condition that all these innocent animals sent to slaughterhouses and killed for like, this is really like very, very painful conditions. So Prabhupada said, simply horrible to see such organized animal killing by the state. Okay, so there's not so much to actually keep explaining. You'll see the points like kind of repeating. So we'll just continue with the storyline and then I'll stop. And if you would like to add some points, you can add. But let's continue a little bit more. And then maybe 3 more verses, and you can just quickly see if you have some points to add. Okay, text number 9.
Ma saurabhya yatra sucho vetu te vrishaladbhayam marodiramba bhadram te kalanam mai shastari. O son of Surabhi, you need lament no longer now. There is no need to fear the low-class Shudra. And O mother cow, as long as I am living as the ruler and subduer of all envious men, there is no cause for you to cry. Everything will be good for you.
So now he is giving assurance to both the cow and the bull. He's like actually speaking consoling words, like, when anyone is actually being tortured, then you say, I am powerful. I can defeat that culprit. And you both, you're being tortured. I will give you protection. So have faith on me. I have the strength. So he was actually that way consoling. So he said, Saurabheya, O son of Surabhi, right? So he's referring to the bull. The cow and the bull are actually son. The cow and the bull is actually a son of Surabhi. So Prabhupada makes a point. Just like the man is created in the image of God, similarly the cows and bulls, they are created in the image of the original cow in the spiritual world, which is actually Surabhi. Right? So that's why, O son of Surabhi, so he's referring to the bull, you need lament no longer, and no need to fear this low caste Shudra. Right? No need to fear this Vrishalat, low class Shudra. And then he says, Ma Rodihi. So he's telling the cow, oh mother cow, Amba. Amba means mother, right? I think in some states also they call their mother as Amba, right? So, oh mother cow, Badram, let everything will be fine. Badram means auspicious. Everything will be auspicious. You do not need to cry. I am living as a ruler and I am going to subdue all this. Khalanam, all these envious people, I am going to kill them. So don't worry. I am here. I will protect both of you. So in that way, Maharaj Parikshit is consoling both the cow and the bull. And right, so Prabhupada said how Surabhi is the name of the cow which exists in the spiritual planets, and how man is created in the image of God. Cows and bulls are created in the image of the Surabhi cows on the spiritual world. And Prabhupada says that how the cow, so in the material world, the human society gives all protection to the human beings, but there is no law to protect these descendants of Surabhi. There's no law to protect the cows and the bulls, who can give all protection to men by supplying the miracle food, which is the milk. And then Prabhupada says the human society should recognize the importance of cow and bull and thus give all protection to these animals. And then here Prabhupada says that how if we give protection to the cows, right, and because the cows are so dear to Krishna, Namo Brahmanya Devaya, Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha, right? So when we offer our prayers to Krishna, we say cow, he is the protector of cow. And what is the name of the spiritual abode that we are all aspiring to go to? Goloka, the land of cows. So that's like, it is, Krishna is what? He's a cowherd boy, right? It's all of cows. Krishna loves his cows so much. So as devotees of Krishna, our heart should like pain to see this poor condition of cows. We should do something about it. We should really do something about it. And when we do something for cow protection, to actually have some ahimsa farms and all these, it's certainly very pleasing to Krishna. Krishna likes cows so much. So it is a part of our dharmic life to actually establish this cow protection. Text 10 and 11.
Hare Krishna. Yasya rastre prajas sarvash trasyante sadhu asad purhi tasya mattasya nashyanti kirtirayur bhavogati. Esharatnam paro dharmo hi arthanam artinigrahah ata enam vadishyami bhutadruham ashattamam. Translation: O chaste one, the king's good name, duration of life, and good rebirth vanish when all kinds of living beings are terrified by miscreants in his kingdom. It is certainly the prime duty of the king to subdue first the sufferings of those who suffer. Therefore, I must kill this most wretched man because he is violent against other living beings.
So here is actually making the point that, it is actually my duty to kill this person. And then he elaborates that point that even for kings, right? So first of all, he says sadvi. Sadvi means chaste one, right? So chaste one, the king. So for the king, the kings, what are kriti, ayu, then the fortune and gatihi. These four things: the fame, the duration, the fortune, and birth of a king vanishes. When does it vanish? If it is arthi arthana, that those who are suffering, right? Those who are suffering are actually not being protected. So all these four things: the good name, the duration of life, the birth, and the fortune. Right? When all kinds of living beings are terrified by miscreants in the kingdom, then all these four things vanish. It is certainly the prime duty of the king to subdue first the sufferings of those who suffer. So arti arthana. So those who are actually suffering, it is the first duty of the king to actually give them protection. Therefore, what should I do? Vadishyami, I will kill this person. Bhuta dhruvam, revolter against all living beings. This most wretched person I should kill right now. So one way, like Chakravarti is also making the point that the cow and the bull may say that, we are tolerant. Like devotees, normally they have the mood that we are tolerant. So it's okay, forgive him. But the king is saying, no, it is even for my sake, to maintain the good name of my entire Kuru dynasty, it is my duty to kill this person right away. So even if you, the cow and the bull, say that, no, it's okay, please forgive him, king says, no, it is my duty, I will kill him. Right? Otherwise, these four things, Kriti, Ayu, Fortune, and Gati, will actually run. Right? So Vadishyami, I will kill him right away. And Prabhupada in the purport, again, he elaborates on, it's a duty of the government to kill at once all bad social elements such as thieves, dacoits, and murderers. So whenever there is torture of the innocent, right, when there is suffering, people are suffering, it's a duty of the king to give all punishment to those who are actually causing the suffering of innocent people. Right? And again, Prabhupada stresses on the point that Praja means both men and animals. Anyone who has taken birth in the state is actually Praja. So they should all be protected, humans and animals. Okay. And then further, Prabhupada says that every living entity is actually, in whatever shape they may be, they are actually the sons of the Lord. Right? Everyone, each one of us is actually a son of Krishna. Right? And no one has any right to kill another animal unless it is so ordered by the course of natural law. Right? So we read a similar verse in this, in the 13th chapter. Jivo Jivasa Jivanam. Remember that verse? Ahasani Sahasranam Apadi Chatus Padam Falguni Tatram Hatam Jivo Jivasa Jivanam. That yes, all living entities, they subsist on other living entities. There's laws of nature. So if a tiger is actually killing another animal, a lower animal for its food, that is pardonable because that is a law of nature. That's how the system works. But if human beings unnecessarily are killing all these animals, then that is something to be punished right away. The Prabhupada says that those who are supporting this slaughterhouses, they should be killed right away. The Prabhupada is really strong. They have to be killed right away. Therefore, the law is that one should live only by eating specific living beings as ordered by the law of God. So there's a law of God. The law of God has been made where there are particular foods given for different kinds of people. So for human beings, we have fruits, we have roots, right? So that's grains that we subsist on. And And Prabhupada gives a long purport. Again, we see again and again Prabhupada is actually making a point. The duties of a king, the duties of a good government. And then Prabhupada says the politicians are so ignorant of the codes of law. So Prabhupada is making the point that, actually if anyone thinks intelligently that we are all under the laws of nature, who can escape the laws of nature? Birth, death, old age, disease. Who can escape these laws? So there is a law of nature which is created by God, to which we are all subjected to. In spite of being subjected to these laws, we foolishly say that, oh, there is no God, and do everything to actually take God out of the picture. So Prabhupada talks about all that, right? So human life is specially meant for knowing the science of God. But foolish creatures, especially in this age of Kali, instead of knowing God scientifically, make propaganda against religious principles. Right? So they make propaganda against religious belief, even though they are always bound by the laws of God, by symptoms of birth, old age, disease, and death. So everyone is subjected to the laws, but still we say there is no lawmaker. Right? So when we they have this science of self-realization series, in universities, they often do that. There's a whole series. And one of the points to prove, like, does God exist, is that they say, well, aren't we subjected to laws? There are laws in which the nature is working. Law of gravity, so many laws. Who has designed all this? And every time there is a law, there has to be a lawmaker. And who's a lawmaker? That's God. Okay, then, okay, so okay, so we could do 12 to 15. Any points that you would like to add from this entire section? Any questions? Because this is like Prabhupada's purport. We know his mood here. He's actually establishing what is a good government, what is the role of the administrator, what are the symptoms of Kali. Those are the key points we see again and again in the purports. Anyone like to add any points here?
Prabhuji, as Maharaj Parikshit was giving assurance to the cow and the bull that everything will be good now. Just like Arjun, I have power. So you asked us, gave us a homework to meditate on the qualities of Krishna. So I was thinking that how Krishna is the protector of the surrendered souls. And he says in Bhagavad Gita clearly, Ma Shucha, do not fear. So I was relating to that quality.
Nice, very nice. Yeah, Krishna says, Ma Suchaha, do not fear. If you surrender unto me, then, and this will come later on in this chapter also, when Kali surrenders to Parikshit. What happens? Thank you. Anyone else would like to add something?
Yes, Prabhuji, as you said, Krishna loves the cows, so he has given his dham also Golok Dham. The name is given, the cows, so much importance is given. And about the administrators, you said like they should be second initiated. So we can see in our acharyas, they have said the example like the Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he was such a qualified person and he was taking the post of a magistrate and doing his job so efficiently. And about the Praja, it is said, so like Praja is not only the it's like humans, but all the animals also. So in the pastime of Lord Krishna, Vasudeva and Nand Maharaj, when he wanted to ask about Krishna, so he was not able to ask directly about Krishna. So he mentioned about the Praja, how is the Praja is there. So that thing is there. Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you, Martin. Nice points. Yeah, Bhaktivinoda Thakur actually said, he said, like, our movement will be successful when the High Court judge will be wearing tilak and kantimala. The Prabhupada actually wanted this, that the higher post administrators are actually devotees. And during Prabhupada's movement, when Prabhupada Krishna conscious movement was spreading, he actually, particularly this devotee Balavanta Prabhu, he actually said, okay, you start a political party. And they actually did. The disciples of Prabhupada, they started a political party, and they were like, even there were some TV interviews where they'll call upon and said, oh, what is your agenda, right? And for some time it went on, but then Prabhupada said, no, it's not worth it. This government is like too corrupted, and we cannot break through the government. But the desire, the intention was that Prabhupada actually asked his disciples, we form a political party and we will stand for president. And then the first thing we do, stop all these cow killing. The Prabhupada actually wanted that. Thank you.
Yes.
Hare
Hare,
sorry.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes.
Sorry Mataji. But Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yeah, actually, regarding that point, it should be law in like text number 6. Srila Prabhupada ji said like it should be like rules, like you said, like in the political party and all this. So it should be like rules like that. Whoever like kill the cow, go in jail or maybe death, like that. So it's supposed to be rule, but what is our duty? That's I'm thinking, and I don't know how to, I mean, that role will apply in such a real life, not only in Bhagavatam or not we are thinking, but what we have to do practically. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, practically, like again, two main points, right? I mentioned this last time also. One is we support the cow protection projects.
Yes.
Even in ISKCON, we have many cow protection projects, and also, this thing about like devotees should come together, buy land, have cows. It's like it is quite involved. There is a lot of effort, a lot of planning. Financial resources, everything is required.
Yes.
But I feel like because now our majority of ISKCON devotees is grahastas.
Yeah.
So all grahastas come together, contribute money, start a cow protection. I feel like it is a lot of effort, but seeing the importance of this through the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam, I think the effort should be made. So that is one thing, but that is a big project, but I feel it's doable, and we should put effort towards that. The other thing is you can support the current cow protection projects. That you can, there are many of them that have a plan of adopt a cow. You adopt a cow and take responsibility of, taking care of that cow for life. You can adopt the cow for life. Whatever cow expenses, you can actually, contribute financially. So that's one thing. And second thing is establishing Brahminical culture. And how do we do that? By distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. That's why Prabhupada was so insistent on distribute books, distribute books, distribute books. This is going to really be the foundation of all the principles. And this is actually going to make a revolution in the misdirected lives of this civilization.
Yes.
Prabhupada said that. So these two we should focus on. Yeah. Okay. So
Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
I was about to say the same thing, that we all we all should come together and form an ahimsa cow protection, and then like you said, it is definitely doable. That is also my dream. And also, like the very first time I came to the US, there was a Christmas party, and there was like so many platters of meat. I know at the end of the party, they just threw it in the dustbin, and I was crying. No one was noticing me. I was crying. Why are they killing and throwing it in the dustbin, right? So it's so heart-wrenching for
Very
me, and
painful, yes.
very painful. And like you said, we all should come together and set a model for others. And I also thought, ASPCA is there, but it doesn't give any protection to cows, only to dogs and cats. They are more worried about dogs and cats, but cows are not even in the picture, right? So for protection, but it's very important that we come together and maybe start a program like that. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. So these are points that we should think about, and Prabhupada stress on these points. So okay. So thank you for your comments. So let's continue. We'll read from text number 12 to 15 would be the next section. So let's go ahead. Text 12. Who's next? Go ahead.
Vasana Mataji.
Yeah.
So the Mahabhuvam Stvatrasha Krishna Nuvartinam, he Maharaj addressed and questioned the bull thus, O son of Surbi, 3 legs. In the state of the kings, who are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna, there be as you.
So here, so one may ask that, okay, so up to this point, Maharaj Parikshit has first of all questioned the Shudra, like, who are you? Like, you appear very strong, but your activities are those of Advijaha, right, opposing those of Dvija principles. And you're daring to beat a cow in my kingdom. You think, now Krishna and Arjuna have gone, so now no one is there to protect them. No, I am there, right? So that, and then after that, he is actually talking to the cow and the bull, and then first he asks, like, oh bull, who are you? Are you some demigod who's causing grief? You have lost your 3 legs. And then he says, like, up to this time in the Kuru dynasty, no one, this has never happened before, and now see, it is happening. But then he gives assurance. Do not worry. Oh Amba, oh mother, you are my mother, I will protect you, right? And then, oh bull, do not worry, I will actually take care of this. Then he's now turning to the bull and he's asking, who is the one? Like here, Maharaj Parikshit, one may say that he's seeing everything, but why is he asking, right? So in this, he's asking, repeatedly address and question the bull. O son of Surabhi, Saurabheya, O son of Surabhi, who has cut off your 3 legs, right? Trin Padan, who has cut off Avrashit, who has cut off your 3 legs? In the state of kings, who are actually here, Krishna Anuvartinam. Very nice word. Krishna Anuvartina means one who actually follows the principles of Krishna, right? So in those kings, in the state of kings who are actually following the laws of Krishna, no one has this situation as you are, right? And basically making the point that anyone who's following Krishna Anuvartina, who's following the instructions of Krishna, certainly there will be, there cannot be such situation where people are actually tortured like this. Right? So in that way, saying, just tell me who is the perpetrator and I will kill him right now and all your suffering will be taken care of. So that's how Parikshit Maharaj is addressing Dharma. And then here Prabhupada says how the kings or the executive heads must be Krishna Anuvartina. What does that mean? To actually, they should know the principles given in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada stresses here that how all these administrators, they should actually be enrolled in Bhakti Shastri and Bhakti Vaibhav. That is our key, very important, right? So Prabhupada is stressing here. So Bhagavad Gita is giving a synopsis, and then Srimad Bhagavatam is further explaining these codes of Godhead, right? Krishna Anuvartina. And then Prabhupada's finally, he actually, and you can tell me which verse is this, the last sentence of the purport. When Krishna was personally present, the codes of Krishna were being followed without question. But in his absence, such codes are presented in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam for the guidance of the blind persons who happen to be at the helm of all affairs. Which is this verse?
Krishna Sadhama Pagate.
Yes, thank you, Prabhu. Krishna Sadhama Pagate, Dharma Jnana Visa, Kalo Nashta Drishamesha, Punanarto. So in the absence, when Krishna Swadhama Pagate, he's gone to his abode, how is religion established? Through the pages of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Kalo Drishta Nishamesha. When in Kali Yuga, when people have lost their vision due to the darkness of Kali, they'll get light from this Puran. Next verse, text 13.
Hare Krishna. Akyahi Vrishabhadram va sadhunam akrita gasam atma verupya kartaram parthanam kriti dushanam. O bull, you are offenseless and thoroughly honest. Therefore, I wish all good to you. Please tell me of the perpetrator of these mutilations, which blackmail the reputation of the sons of Parth.
So here Parikshit Maharaj is telling, I just want to hear from your mouth that this is a perpetrator and then I'll kill him. But I want to hear it from your mouth, right? So that's why in the previous verse, as I said, he's repeatedly asking the same thing. Oh Dharma, oh bull, please tell me who has done this to you. Please tell me, right? And then Dharma is quiet, no answer. And then in this verse, further is saying, oh Dharma, oh bull, you are sadhu nam, you are so honest, you are akrit agasam, you are offenseless. So certainly because of these conditions, Badramte, all good fortune to you. Just tell me who is the one who is Parthanam Kirti Dushanam, who is actually blackmail reputation of the sons of Pritha, right? Who is actually doing this, actually Atma Vairupa Kartaram, who is actually deform yourself, right? Atma means referring to yourself. Vairupya Kartaram, who is deformation of yourself. Who has done this to you? Who has deformed yourself? Who has cut off your 3 legs? Just tell me. Just give me a name. I'll kill you. Just give me a name. I'll kill you. Okay. Okay. And further, like Prabhupada explains that point of Parthanam Kirti Dushanam. Parthanam referring to the sons of Pritha, and Kirti Dushanam blackmailing the reputation. That who is actually blackmailing the reputation of the sons of Pritha? Because by this act, by this sinful act, the reputation of the descendants of Kuru dynasty is actually being taken away. Right? That in his kingdom, such is happening. What about their reputation, right? So that is being taken away. So just tell me who has done this, and then I'll take care of the rest. Next, 14.
Jane nagasi agamyunjam sarvatosya chamadbayam sadhu nam badram evasyat asadu damane krite. Translation: whoever causes offenseless living beings to suffer must fear me anywhere and everywhere in the world. By curbing dishonest miscreants, one automatically benefits the offense. Hare Krishna.
So like all these verses, you have to read like Maharaj Parikshit is somehow or other trying to convince Dharma to point out the perpetrator. So in this he's saying, whoever causes offenseless living beings to suffer must fear me anywhere and everywhere in the world. So okay. So here basically Parikshit Maharaj is making the point, right? Let's see. Oh yeah. Okay. So by telling me who he is, he will have to fear of me. But even if you don't tell me, so here Maharaj Parikshit is saying, even if you don't tell me, still he'll have to fear me, because anywhere and everywhere in the world, wherever the people are causing harm to the offenseless living entities, they will suffer. They will, who are causing suffering to the offenseless living entities, they'll be fearful of me. So here is actually making the point, better you tell me, right? Even if you don't tell me, they will actually always be fearful of you. And then he says further, in next point, he says, by curbing those dishonest miscreants, one automatically benefits the offenses. Sadhunam badram eva sad, asadhu damane krita. Asadhu, those who actually punish, or those who actually curb or the dishonest miscreants, then it automatically benefits the sadhunam. So if you actually punish the asadhu, then automatically the sadhus are actually benefited. So please tell me who is the miscreant, and I will kill him right away. So Prabhupada said, when the miscreants are punished in an exemplary manner, automatically all good fortune follows. So Prabhupada explains this point very nicely. Like, again, we see Prabhupada's mood is, he's talking of principles for the government. So if the government is actually punishing a miscreant in an exemplary way, then what does that do? It creates fear in the rest of the population. Oh, he did this sinful activity, he stole, and that was the punishment. Such severe punishment. Okay, I won't steal because I'm fearful of the punishment. Right? So that's the point Prabhupada is making. So by punishing those miscreants in an exemplary manner, then automatically there will be good fortune, because people will be fearful of committing such acts. Right. And Prabhupada so nicely said, the devotees of the Lord are by nature peaceful and offenseless, and therefore it is a prime duty of the state to arrange to convert everyone to become a devotee of the Lord. Right? So if you really want peace, right, make everyone into offenseless living entities, peaceful living entities. And how do you do that? Make everyone into devotees of the Lord. That's how Prabhupada's logic is. make everyone into Krishna devotees, then naturally there'll be peace everywhere in this world. Okay, text 15.
Hare Krishna. Anagah sviha bhuteshu ya agaskrin nirankushaha ahattasmi bhujam sakshad amatyasyapi sangadam. Translation: an upstart living being who commits offenses by torturing those who are offenseless shall be directly uprooted by me, even though he be a denizen of heaven with armor and decorations. Hare Krishna.
So now Dharma may say that, okay, what if I tell you the name of the person and the person is stronger than you? Right? Then Parikshit Maharaj, in response to that, is actually saying that actually, even if he's a denizen of the heaven with armor and decorations, like a very powerful person of the heavenly kingdom, even if it's that person, I will actually take charge and I will punish him. I have the power to even defeat those who are actually on the heavenly planet. So in that way, Parikshit Maharaj is assuring him that even if someone from denizen, don't worry. And particularly the word that is actually used is amartyasya api, right? So Prabhupada actually elaborates on this as amara. Mara means death, amara means who are deathless. And the demigods, one way they are actually considered deathless. Why? Because they had that pot of nectar, right? So we read in the 8th canto how there was churning of milk ocean, and all the demigods, they got to drink the amrita, by which they have become deathless. But are the demigods really deathless? We read in Bhagavad Gita, right? A Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punar Avartin Arjuna. From Brahma down to the lowest, everyone is subjected to death. So why are demigods called Amara? What's the main point here? Anyone? Like, we know that whole thing, right? How the episode, how the demigods, they drank Amrit and they become deathless, they become Amara. But then we know that demigods, actually, they are not Amara. Starting from
Just
Brahma.
got the power, probably. They got the power and they are without diseases or something like that. Amaras.
They are without diseases. That is okay. Like, as you go higher, then even the diseases actually is not so much trouble from disease. But why are they called deathless? Actually, Prabhupada explains this point.
Long life, right?
Compared to our lifetime, their lifetime is so long that it is almost like deathless. It is almost like deathless. So Prabhupada's whole purpose is based on that. It's like they possess such a long span of life, right? And Prabhupada says that how in Brahma, their life, the duration of life is 4.3 billion years. Now, if you tell a normal human being who is living for 60, 70, or 80 years, that you can live, one person can live for 4.3 billion years, we cannot even imagine that. 4.3 billion, that is almost like eternality for me. So in reference to the human population, the demigods are almost as if they are deathless. But then Prabhupada said, but actually, no one within this material universe is deathless. Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravita. From Brahma down to the lowest animal, everyone is actually subjected to that. So that's the point Prabhupada focuses on, that Amara. But again, coming back to the theme here, Parikshit Maharaj is assuring that I'm so powerful that I can challenge even the strongest offenders, even though if they are of the class of the Amara. Even though a demigod who is Amara is standing right here, I will kill him. I am so powerful. So that's what Parikshit Maharaj is assuring Dharma. So you just tell me who has done this. I will actually kill him. Even if he's so powerful, don't worry, I will kill him. Text 16. Okay, go ahead, text 16.
Ragyo hi paramo dharma swadharmastanupalanam sashato jnan yatha shastram anapadi uthapatan iha. The supreme duty of the ruling king is to give all protection to law-abiding persons and to chastise those who stray from the ordinances of the scriptures in ordinary times when there is no emergency.
So now Parikshit Maharaj is actually making the point. Paro dharmo, ragyo hi parama dharma. What is the para dharma for a raja? Where does that word paro dharma come? Which is the other famous verse? Okay, go ahead. Very famous verse of Bhagavatam. You know this. What is the paro dharma? Everyone has learned this.
Bhayavaha parodharma. That
Vaikuntha Param.
Bhavai Punsa Parodharma.
Paro dharma yato bhaktir adoksha.
adokshaja.
You all learn this verse, right? So in that verse, what is the parodharma there? There it says the parodharma for everyone is actually bhakti unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And what's the qualification of bhakti? Ahituki, will be unmotivated, uninterrupted. And that will give Yayatma Suprasida, complete satisfaction to self. Right? Now, why is Parikshit Maharaj saying the parodharma of a king is what? Swadharma stanu palanam shashato nyan yatha shastram anapadi utpatan iha. So he's saying actually the duty of a king, the supreme duty of a king, right? Right now he's not talking of the highest, the eternal duty, but the duty as a Kshatriya, the highest duty of a Kshatriya class, right? He's not talking of transcendental or spiritual. The highest duty of Kshatriya class is what? To protect those who are law-abiding and to chastise those who are actually breaking the injunctions of the scriptures. Right? Now, there's one clause here that needs a little explanation that says apadharma. Right? Anapadi uttapan iha. Right? So, what is that apadharma? Apadharma. Right? So, Prabhupada explains this in the first line in the scripture that is mentioned of apadharma, or occupational duty at times of extraordinary happenings. Right? And then Prabhupada says how Vishwamitra, it is said that sometimes he had to live on the flesh of a dog that was under extraordinary dangerous position. And in case of emergency, one may have to, survive on animals. But that is only emergency. That emergency cannot be made a normal principle. That's what Prabhupada says. And in seventh canto, towards the end, when there's a conversation between Yudhishthira and Narada, there actually Narad Muni is telling, okay, these are the duties of a Brahmana. Right? And then he says, well, in case of emergency situations, he could do this, this, and this. Right? But that emergency situation does not become the normal for a person. So here the point that Parikshit Maharaj is saying that, except in emergency situation, if someone is, going outside his dharma and doing something else, that is okay. But in normal situation, if someone is doing, then that person has to be chastised for sure. So that's the point. Okay. So Prabhupada in the purpose stresses on this apata dharma that, in case of emergency, something may be done, but that cannot be a normal thing. Okay, next verse, text 17. So now Dharma will actually reply. Okay, so any points up to this? Anyone has any comments? Any points you would like to add? So till now, Parikshit had actually asked Dharma, and all the verses from text number 12 up to text number 16 is basically Parikshit Maharaj is asked Dharma, please tell me, just name the person who's done this. I will kill him. I'm so powerful, even if some demigod, I will kill him. Just name the person. Any comments or any thoughts of this?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I really like the point how you are saying that the prime duty of the state is to arrange to convert everyone to become a devotee. Then there is a peace. I really love that.
That is our peace formula in Bhagavad Gita, right? Bhoktaram Yagya Tapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram.
Maheshwaram.
Basically, like Prabhupada actually had published this during his time, the peace formula. And he said this should be distributed to all the people, even to government. And the peace formula is what? And the Bhoktaram. We have to accept that Krishna is the ultimate beneficiary. He is the ultimate enjoyer. He's actually the proprietor of Sarva Loka, right? All the planets. And he's actually our very dear friend. Gyatva Shanti Michati. That's the peace formula. So Prabhupada, we can see Prabhupada's mood is that to create Vaikuntha right here. Create Vaikuntha right here. If everyone becomes a devotee, then this place is non-different than Vaikuntha. Okay. Any other points of this?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, I heard in the news that they're trying to make Bhagavad Gita as one of the subject for like up to like an NCERT syllabus, like, is in India. So I'm not sure if it is like passed the law or not, but they were like arguing in Lok Sabha.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, this somehow, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam has to be widely distributed. It has to be, but we can see the influence of Kali, like it is a very, what you're saying is very nice that actually Bhagavad Gita is brought into the government position and like everyone is taught about it. But the influence of Kali is so strong that, one may think then that, okay, what explanation of Bhagavad Gita are they going to teach? That comes to the next point that, what explanation are they going to teach? Because how Prabhupada, even he says like, who's that? Lokmanya Tilak. He says like, even Lokmanya Tilak, he written Bhagavad Gita. But what's the use of such Bhagavad Gita?
I was just going to say, Prabhuji, if it is not taught by a devotee, it doesn't make any impact, because I've heard from my family that they have read Bhagavatam as part of their, curriculum for Telugu language and also Bhagavad Gita, but it did not turn out to be a devotee at all. I mean, that's his whole life gone, even though they were taught that in the early ages of their life.
And then later on, what is the conception? I know, I have read it, and then they don't want to go too deeper into it to actually see the real essence. So this is unfortunate. We are in the age of Kali, but anyway, like, the point that Prabhu said, that's always good. We should encourage that. Okay, bring Bhagavad Gita into the mainstream, bring Bhagavad Gita, and then we can see, okay, can that be the true version of Bhagavad Gita? Can that be Bhagavad Gita as it is? Then that is real success, right? As it is, we want as it is formed. Okay, so now we'll go to the next section.
Yeah, one sec. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yeah, that's what we are doing in like like Prachar and Prasar for the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna's message. So we distribute, but again in like hotel and motel, and so we put them and like forcing that like at least read something. So we are trying here in Chicago area and another state also.
Very nice. Yeah. Sankirtan, yes, we have to distribute as many books as possible.
Yes.
Thank you, Mati. Very nice. Thank you. Okay, text 17. So from text 17 to text 21, we'll actually read what Dharma is going to tell Parikshit. Like one may think that, okay, Dharma may just say, okay, now Parikshit has said that he's so powerful, he can defeat anyone. Just tell me. Dharma may say, okay, here. That you see, this is Kali right here. He's punishing me. He's a perpetual. But Dharma does not say that. Why? Okay, so that's the next section. Okay, text 17.
Text 17. Dharma uvacha etadvah pandava yeyanam yuktamarta bhayam vachah yesham gunavane krishno dyotyadyo bhagavan krutah. Translation, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The personality of religion said, these words just spoken by you befit a person of the Pandav dynasty. Captivated by the devotional qualities of the Pandavas, even Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, performed duties as a messenger. Hare Krishna.
So what is the first thing that Dharma says? Actually, all the words that you have spoken, O Parikshit, all that is actually very befitting a person who is Pandaveyanam, who actually belongs to the family of Pandava. Right? So what you have spoken is very right. That kind of assurance that you have given, that actually truly befits your character. You are actually a descendant of Pandava. Right? So that's the first thing. What you have spoken by you befits a person of Pandava. And then next he says, Yesham guna ganahi Krishna dautyado. You remember this word dautyado? We read this in the previous chapter also. Saratya Pasha, the Sevana Saukhya Dautya. Right? This is text 16 of the previous chapter, where when Maharaj Parikshit was traveling everywhere, what did he hear? He heard how Krishna actually served as Saratya Parsha, the Sevana Sakya Dautya. He actually served the Pandavas as a chariot driver, as a servant, as a watchman, as a messenger, right? Yeah, and so on. So Dautya is right, referring to as messenger. So he is saying like Yesham Gunagahi Krishna. The Pandavas are so glorious that Krishna himself took the position of a messenger to actually serve the Pandavas. So what he has spoken is actually perfectly fitting a person belonging to the class of the Pandavas. So Prabhupada in the purport, he makes a very nice point. He says that what Parikshit Maharaj has said, that he can also defeat a person from denizen, a person from higher planet. If he comes, also I can defeat. He said that is not a false assurance. Why is that? Okay, this is a question for you. Why can we say that Maharaj Parikshit's assurance is not a false assurance at this point? What is the main point?
He's a devotee and Krishna will not let his devotees down.
So it is not so much of the power of Parikshit Maharaj. It is because a devotee has said something. Krishna will make sure that it is fulfilled. So Prabhupada makes that point. Devotee of the Lord is equally powerful as the Lord, or sometimes more powerful by the grace of the Lord. Right? Sometimes a devotee becomes more powerful by the grace of the Lord. Right? And any promise made by a devotee, though it may ordinarily be very difficult to fulfill, is properly executed by the grace of God. So as soon as a devotee promises, Kaunteya prati janihi na me bhakta pranishyati. Right? So Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, "Oh Arjun, you declare that my devotee will never perish." And one must say like, Arjun and Krishna is standing there. Why don't he declare? Because he says there is more potency in the words of a devotee, because a devotee promises, Krishna will break all laws to actually fulfill the words of a devotee. As soon as a devotee says, that's our whole secret of success, that somehow or other a devotee says, looks at us with a merciful glance and says, this person, Krishna, is serving you nicely. He is very nice. As soon as he says that, and that's our whole process, right? So our guru recommends us, then that recommendation goes to Prabhupada, that recommendation goes higher, 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 and finally to Srimati Radharani. And when Radharani says, "Oh Krishna, he's such a nice devotee," then Krishna says, "Okay, bring him back right now, engage him in seva." Right? So that's our whole process. Just we are dependent on the words of a pure devotee. So we are actually Prabhupada. There's a very nice verse in the 10th canto. Right? It actually goes, Swayam Samutirtha Sudushtaram Dyuman Bhavar Navam Bhimam Adabra Saurida Bhavat Padambora Navam Atrate Nidhaya Yata Sad Anugraho Bhavan. This is 10 to 31. And actually says that when the acharyas who has completely taken shelter of your lotus feet, right? When they actually cross this ocean of material ocean and go on the other side, right? So to cross this material ocean, we need a boat, right? It's a material ocean. We need a boat to cross the material ocean, right? So when the acharyas, they actually take this boat and they cross the material ocean, then what do they do? Like, if there's an ocean, they take a boat, then the boat is on the other side. But the acharyas leave the boat on this side. So then people on this side, material ocean, can use the same boat and come and cross the ocean. And this verse is actually making the point that what does the boat refer to? The boat refers to the process which is actually given by these acharyas. So if the acharya says, chant 16 rounds, follow the 4 regulative principles, I'll take you back home, back to Godhead. If the acharya says that, Krishna says, okay, he's given the word, I'll fulfill it. I'll fulfill it. So in that purport, actually, you can read that purport to 10 to 31. Very beautiful. Prabhupada says, so many wonderful points. He says that the guru actually, he gives the means to the disciple based on the circumstances. Right? So, we know Bhakti Saraswati Thakur, he established 64 rounds minimum. Right? Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I won't eat at the house of those who do not chant 1 lakh names of Krishna, that is 64 rounds. Right? But Prabhupada says 16 rounds. And Prabhupada also criticized for reducing this to 16 rounds. But here we see in this verse where it says, when the Acharya is actually given a method according to the circumstances, then Krishna actually accepts that. Oh, according to circumstances, in Kali Yuga, people cannot chant 64 rounds. Hence, Prabhupada has mercifully given us 16 rounds. And if we follow that, then because Prabhupada has given the word, Krishna will actually. So, and then in that verse, that 10 to 31, it says, the Acharyas, they leave behind on earth the method by which they cross. And because you are very merciful to your devotees, you accept the method given by the Acharyas. Krishna accepts the method given by the Acharyas. So coming back to this verse, here Prabhupada is actually making the point that as soon as a devotee gives a word, right, Krishna will for sure fulfill that promise. Okay, text number 18. Let's see. I started a little late. It's 9:09. So, can you go till 10 today? Is that too late or doable?
Yes, Prabhuji, I'm okay.
You mean 10 a.m. is okay?
Yes, Prabhuji.
I know it's getting late, but today we started almost 7:30. So, okay, so let's go ahead. Text 18.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. केचित् विकल्पवशना आहुरात्मानम् आत्मनः दैवं मन्ये अपरे कर्म स्वभावम् अपरे
18.
You missed one.
18.
No vayam kleshabhijani.
नवयं क्लेशबीजानि यतः स्यूयः पुरुषर्षभा पुरुषं तं vijanayimo vakya bheda vimohitaha. Translation. O greatest among human beings, it is very difficult to ascertain the particular miscreant who has caused our sufferings because we are bewildered by all the different opinions of theoretical philosophers. Hare Krishna. Sorry about the Prabhuji.
No, that's okay. So, what is Dharma saying? So, first of all, he's praised that. Okay, your assurance are given, that's wonderful, and it deserves that of the Pandava. Now he's saying, like, the question is, who is the perpetual? Right? And what is Dharma is saying? No vayam klesha bhijami. No vayam. I do not know. Actually, I cannot say who is klesha. What is bija? Seed, right? Bija. Who is the root cause or the seed of the suffering here? Very interesting. Like Dharma is right there, right? Imagine like you see someone beating some other person, and you say like, okay, who's the culprit? Who is the person beating you? It's right there, can't you see? But in spite of asking, Dharma is saying, no vayam. I do not know what is the root cause of this suffering. And then further he elaborates, yata su purushashabha. And then what is the reason? Purusharshava, O greatest of all human beings. So he's actually telling, O Parikshit, O Purusharshava. This actually, it's very difficult to find out the root cause of this bija. Why? And then he says, Vimohita Vakya Bheda. Because of a difference, because we are bewildered. Vimohita means bewildered by the different opinions of Vakya Bheda, of those who are theoretical philosophers. So what does this mean? So this it's very interesting, this conversation. And Prabhupada actually elaborates on this. So he's actually saying, so Dharma's point is like we are bewildered by opinions of different philosophers. And hence we cannot find out the root cause. So Prabhupada in the purport, he explains that how there are 6 different main philosophies, 6 systems of philosophies. One is by Kanada, right? And that philosophy is the Vaisheshika. Then Gautama is on Nyaya. Patanjali is on Yoga. Kapila, who is actually elaborated Sankhya. Jaimini is actually propagating the Karma Mimamsa. And then Vyasadeva is actually propagated the Vedanta Darshan. So if you remember, even in the 4th chapter, when Vyasadeva, we read about this Then Vyasadeva took the entire Vedas, he divided into 4 sections. Then he assigned different teachers to different branches, right? So these 6 main branches of philosophy are there, right? And the Prabhupada points them out that there are 6 philosophers who are actually teaching these 6 branches. Right? And then why is Prabhupada elaborating on this? And he's saying that dharma, the bull is actually making the point that in spite, like, different philosophers, they give different arguments for the root cause of suffering. Okay. And what is the different philosophers' idea? That is the next verse is going to say that. All right. So it may not be clear that what is the explanation here, but next verses will actually elaborate what different philosophers point out as a root cause of suffering. But in this purport, Prabhupada is saying that in one way, Dharma perfectly knew that here Kali is the direct cause of all the suffering. But he, being a devotee of the Lord, he knew that nothing will happen without the sanction of the Lord. So even in our life, right, if we come through some suffering, then one can give so many different reasons to it. Right? So let's say, you are driving and the car skid and you had an accident. Now, someone may ask, oh, why did that happen? You can say, well, the roads were icy and then that's why the car skid, and that is the cause of my suffering. Right? And then, people may explain like scientifically and say like, oh, the car was turning and then there's water, and water, it forms this black ice. And then when the tires are on black ice, then there's no grip. You can give scientific and say that is the cause. And that's what science actually does. That it says is the cause of our suffering. Right? Well, someone may say, someone who's more intellectual or more philosophical may say, or actually, even before going to philosophy, is like, you can say like, that is one cause, but the root cause where you are not attentive while driving, especially if the children are driving, then the parents will say, you were not attentive, that's why it happened. Right? So the cause of it is you are the cause of the suffering. Right? So that is also, we'll read in the next verse. It's the one, they say, Atma now, you are the cause of the suffering. Then someone may say, okay, someone who's more going next level and say, actually, no, you're not the cause of the suffering. The real cause is karma. It is because it is your karmic reaction that you have to go through this. That's why this happened to you. So in that way, you see, like any situation, you can explain it by so many different causes. Or the next cause. Okay, karma is one cause. Or another cause, can you think of? Is they will say, actually, my Shani period is going on. That's right. So it is Shani who is responsible for influence of planets. It's actually, Bhagavatam is actually makes this point. Right? It's the influence of planets. And that's why I had this accident. Right? Because I had a bad day, or the influence of planets. That's another reason. That's why it happened. But finally, you see, who is the ultimate cause of anything that happens? Without the sanction of the Lord, nothing happens. Right? So for devotees, what is our vision? Our vision is not that we say, okay, ultimately Krishna is the cause of everything and hence Krishna is fault. That's not our thing, right? Krishna is not at fault, right? But the mood of a devotee is, Krishna has put me into this situation, right? This is actually Krishna's mercy of me. The Prabhupada makes the point. When we receive some gift, then it is easy to say that, oh, this is Krishna. I got bonus. This is Krishna's mercy. It's easy to say. But when we get suffering, can we still say, is this Krishna's mercy upon me? So devotee's mood is that, yes, this happened to me, but this is actually just a token of what I'm supposed to get. I'm supposed to deserve so much more worse, but Krishna is just giving me a token. So that is the mood of a devotee. And then he actually says that, whatever, even this token that Krishna is giving me is actually to clear out my anarthas, to purify me. Or another way we can say, oh, Krishna has given me the suffering. Why? How Queen Kunti prays. to actually increase my absorption in Lord Sri Krishna, to increase my thinking about Krishna. That's why Krishna, because natural is natural. When there's suffering, we will say, "Oh Krishna, please help." And then normal days will be Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And then when there's suffering, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. But sometimes Krishna does that. Then what japa again we get like serious. Oh no, Krishna, you're there in the holy name. Krishna, you're the holy name. Please help me, please help me. So the vision of a devotee is, in spite of, oh, one can say this cause, that cause, planets or karma or all these things. A devotee says nothing happens without the sanction of the Lord, and hence Krishna has given this for my own good. Right? So here Dharma being a devotee, he's actually making that point that finally nothing happens without the sanction of the Lord. Right? So he's not blaming the Lord for this. He's not blaming the Lord, but he's saying, actually, we cannot say what is the klesha, what is the klesha bijam, what is the root cause of this suffering, because people say so many things. People say so. So Prabhupada says, Maharaj Parikshit wanted a statement of accusation. He just wanted Dharma to say, oh, this person is a perpetual. But both Dharma and Dhara, they actually declined to give the name of the perpetual, because they know that ultimate cause of all causes is Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchidananda Vigraha, Anadi Radha Govinda, Sarva Karana Karana. He is the ultimate cause of all causes. Now, in this, Prabhupada also says that how devotees, they tolerate the sufferings, thinking them to be God-given in small doses, for otherwise the sufferings would have been greater. So this is actually referring to the verse. Prabhupada says this is the verse by which devotees should live by. What is the verse we can think about here in this?
Tatenukampam susunikshamana.
The 10:14:8. Tatenukampam susunikshamana gunjana evatma kritam vipakam ridvag vabhuvir vidana namaste jive tayo mukti padesa dayabhav. So this verse is from Brahma's prayers, and here it says, my dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. So basically this point, our Acharya Sridhar Swami is actually explaining that to Mukti Padesa Daya Bhag, it actually one becomes, liberation becomes the rightful claim of that person. To which person? One who actually earnestly waits for the Lord to bestow his mercy. Right? And while he is waiting, oh, when will Krishna be merciful upon me? When will Krishna be merciful upon me? So that's our mood of a devotee. Always praying, when will Krishna show his mercy upon me? Right? And at the same time, whenever there's this suffering, he just says, oh, actually it was supposed to be so big, but Krishna is just giving me a token. He just tolerates the suffering. And while going through his suffering, Rid Vag Vapurpir, right? He actually uses his word, his body, and his heart in service of the Supreme Personality. That person, to that person, it is actually Jivetayo Mukti Pade Sadaya. And you know how Sarvabhuma Bhatat, anyway, that's the whole thing. And he actually said this whole verse. In the last line, he said, Jivetayo Bhakti Pade Sadaya Bhag. And I don't know if people know this whole thing, but after Sarvabhuma Bhattacharya was, he received the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then he was thinking that liberation, mukti, it is such so insignificant in front of bhakti. Once you get bhakti, who would even think of liberation? And he actually came to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he said, he told this entire verse, and the last line he said, Jivetayo Bhakti Pade Sadaya. And Lord Chaitanya said, what do you say? Jivetayo Bhakti Pade Sadaya. And Lord Chaitanya, no, it is Jivetayo. How can you change Bhagavatam? It is Mukti Pade Sadaya Bhag. He says, after I have received your mercy, I cannot even hear the word mukti. All I'm interested is devotion. So I don't even care for liberation. For serving you, if I have to take birth again and again, I don't care as long as I can serve your lotus feet. And that's something that I do. This is a verse that Prabhupada is elaborating here. Okay, so let's go ahead. Text number 19.
Hare Krishna. केचिद् विकलवासना आहुर् आत्मनः दैवम् अन्ये अपरे कर्म स्वभावम् अपरे प्रभुम्. Translation. Some of the philosophers who deny all sorts of duality declare that one's own self is responsible for his personal happiness and distress. Others say that superhuman powers are responsible, while yet others say that activity is responsible, and the gross materialist maintain that nature is the ultimate cause.
So here he's actually elaborating. So previously he made, I am bewildered by so many different philosophies. And what are the philosophies? He's mentioning 4 here. So first he says, Atmana, right? One's own self is responsible for the suffering, right? Just like in that example, like a father saying, oh, you didn't drive properly, hence you are responsible. Right? So in that way, the person is responsible. Next he says, Daivam. Daivam means the superhuman, the demigods. Because Saturn, the influence of Saturn was there, Shani was there, that's why this accident happened, right? So that is Daivam. Then karma, you weren't careful while driving, or it was karma would be activity. Oh, it is because you have done something bad in the past, is just a reaction of your activity, karma. And then next is nature, it is your swabhava, which is the ultimate cause of this, is the cause of the suffering. Some materialists maintain that nature or swabhav is the cause of the suffering. So Prabhupada, he elaborates in the purport at right. So first he actually talks about how Jaimini, one of the philosophers, he says the fruitive activity is the cause of all happiness and suffering. Then he further elaborates how the Sankhyaites or the atheistic materialists, they say anyway there's no God in picture, it is this nature, which is actually the cause. And then he talks of Ashtavakra, who's an impersonalist, but he's up to Brahman realizing. He says finally Brahman is the cause of everything. The Mimamsakas, that's another philosophy, they say karma is actually the cause of everything. And then Lokayatas, they say swabhav, or the inherent property of matter is the cause of all the suffering. Right? So Prabhupada elaborates and he talks of different philosophers and how they actually give different reasons for the suffering. There's another similar conversation in the 11th canto of Bhagavatam, where we read about the Avanti Brahmana. I don't know if you all know the story of Avanti Brahmana, but I won't go through the details of the story, but he had so much suffering, like even after taking sannyas, he was actually, people were spitting at him, taking away sannyas rod, and so much suffering. But he did not blame anyone for the suffering. And in that section, actually, he elaborates, and it's in 11th canto, 23rd chapter, if you like to read it. This beautiful section where he actually says, first in that section, he says, so who is the cause of my suffering? Maybe other people are the cause of my suffering. Naturally, when we go through some accident, first thing we say, that person's fault, not my fault, that person's fault. Right? So he said, other people are the cause of suffering, but then he actually denies that. So there's verses in Bhagavatam. One by one, he's saying, and then he actually points out that how that is not true. Then demigods, they are the cause of my suffering. He says, no, how can a demigod be the cause of suffering? Then he says, the soul, the jiva, causes its own suffering. He says, that's also not true. Then he comes, the planets, the astrological chart is the cause of my suffering. He says, that's also not true. And then he elaborates and he says, my karma is the cause of my suffering. So that also not acceptable. And then he says, the movement of time is the cause of my suffering. So that also not acceptable. And finally he says, so who is the cause of my suffering? He says, finally, it is only my false ego, which is manifested through the mind, which is the cause of my suffering. It's only because I'm identifying myself as, with this material nature, that is the cause of my suffering. Otherwise, the spirit soul is pure. It is Satchid Ananda. It is always Ananda. There's no cause of suffering there. It's only because of false ego. With this material nature, and that's the cause of suffering. Right? So there are so many different people have different philosophies. So coming back to the context here, is that that Dharma is saying so many different philosophies. People say so many different things, but but okay. Now the next verse is actually going to say, okay, text 20. Let's go ahead. Who's the next?
Sorry, Prabhuji. अप्रत्यज्ञात् अनिर्देशात् इति केशव अपि निश्चयः अत्र अनुरूपं राजर्षि विमृशा स्वमनीषयः. There are also some thinkers who believe that no one can ascertain the cause of distress by argumentation, nor know it by imagination, nor express it by words. O sage among kings, judge for yourself by thinking over all this with your own intelligence.
So two words are very important. Apratarkyat, power of reasoning, anirdesha, power of thinking. And so here, after mentioning that there are so many different philosophies, and he mentioned 4 different aspects of the philosophies, and then now he's making the point, actually, apratarkyat, beyond the power of reasoning, and anirdesha, beyond the power of thinking. That he's saying there are some thinkers who believe that no one can ascertain the cause of the distress, either by the power of reasoning or by power of thinking, right? So even one can reason so much and say that, or think so much and say, oh, this is the cause. But in spite of this, they cannot actually finally come and say, oh, this is the point, right? And then he says, Rajarshe, therefore, O king, you vimarsha, you judge by your swamanishya. Swamanishya means by your own intelligence, you judge who is the cause of the suffering, and you take the right action. Right? So he's saying no one can ascertain the cause of this distress either by argumentation or by imagination or by thinking. Therefore, you judge for yourself. Okay. Prabhupada in the purport says that this is actually the Vaishnava way of thinking. That we cannot actually blame. If someone comes and hurts us, you cannot blame the person, you cannot blame karma, you cannot blame the influence of planets. No, we know nothing can happen without the sanction of the Lord. So hence we cannot ascertain a cause for any of the suffering. We cannot say, oh, this is the cause. We cannot do that. Even if you think, you use your logic, you use your philosophy and say this is the cause. We cannot. So what is the main thing for us, lesson for us? That when there is a suffering, we actually like cause, someone may come and say something or do something. We don't blame that person. We don't blame the karma. We don't blame demigod. We don't blame ourselves. We just say, it is Krishna's mercy upon me. That's it. That's the only thing. We don't blame ourselves also. Many times when there's a fault, we go so much into blaming. Oh, I did this. I should have just done this, and I should have done this. And we get so absorbed in that me consciousness that there's no Krishna in the photo. There's no Krishna in the picture. So for Vaishnavas, so Prabhupada is elaborating. For us, we know nothing can take place without the sanction. This happened, it was a sanction of the Lord. Krishna wants to teach me a lesson, or Krishna wants me to increase my intensity of prayer. That is the only reason. That's the only thing. Otherwise, all these other things, no one can actually ascertain the cause, even by reasoning or by thinking apratarkyat and anitesha. No one can nishaya. Nishaya means definitely conclude who is the cause behind all this.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Can I ask you one quick question on this?
Yes, ma'am.
So Krishna is the ultimate cause of everything, but we get these sufferings through Adhyatmika, Adibhautika, something like that, like through demigods or Is that correct, Prabhuji? And you also said it's a false ego. That's why
Yeah.
in the previous verse you are quoting, right? So
So so your point is, okay, nothing is happening without the sanction of the Lord, right?
yes.
So all the agents, like let's say demigod, or someone will be in Saturn influence and say that, oh, Saturn is, because of that I'm having suffering. But all those are only instruments.
Mediators. Okay.
So just like, let's say a postman comes and gives you a letter. You open it and $1 million. Wow, the postman is responsible. No, it's not. He's just an instrument. Or the postman may come and give you a letter that says, your company is like, oh, sorry, the company is closed down, no longer job. You won't blame the postman. He's just an instrument, right? He's just an instrument. Why would you blame the instrument? Like, this is something I heard a long time back. There was a seminar, and the theme of the seminar was, don't blame the instrument of your karma. Like, people may come and say so many things, and because of it, we feel, oh, why did that person do this? Why did this person do this? But they are only instruments of our own karma. And finally, for that, so that also is not the highest level. That is just the first level. He's not the instrument. He's just like a postman, right? Then he's not. He's just an instrument of my karma. But finally, we say karma is coming from Krishna, because Krishna is actually controlling us. And Prabhupada, he actually makes the point how Paramatma, he is the witness of all of our activities. So he knows everything. It's not that, oh yeah, actually Krishna, I know you are controlling, but this is not the right time. I was actually thinking this way. No, Paramatma knows everything. He knows past, present, and future. He's all knowing. So he knows what is the best token of reaction that he should give us.
Yeah.
Having
Thank
that for Vaishnava is just like, Krishna is just giving me a token. I'm just going to accept it and see how that will actually connect me more to Krishna. How can I use this as an impetus to come closer to Krishna? And also, even in the mood of suffering, that is a mood of gratitude, that it could have been so bad, like how Prabhupada said, cut off your whole hand. But now Krishna is so kind that I just cut off my finger. So seeing that mood of gratitude in every situation of suffering, and that of seeing that, oh, Krishna, you have given me so that I can learn a lesson. Right? What is the lesson behind? How will this situation help me come closer to Krishna? So those are the questions when we focus. We don't even blame ourselves. So these are very powerful, and we see repeatedly, like this theme comes again and again in Bhagavatam.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhuji.
So let's see, what's the time? 9:36. Yeah, I know today I didn't give a break also. How is everyone feeling up to this point? Too much?
I'm okay, Prabhuji.
Okay, Prabhuji,
You can continue.
Let's continue.
continue.
Yeah, only 24 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, let's continue. That's good. Okay. So even Chakravarti Pad, he has actually elaborates on this purport, and this is the verse that he really like. One way, like its entire chapter, this is kind of the key theme of this chapter. That how, when anything is happening, all the suffering or anything, we cannot give all these other indirect causes, but we have to understand everything is with the sanction of the Lord. So even Chakravarti, he elaborates, he gives different shlokas on this, and he quotes Bhagavad Gita 10.4 and 5, where it actually says pleasure, pain, birth, death, fear, fearlessness, they all are actually various states of living being that come from me alone. So Krishna is saying that they all come from me, right? I am behind everything. Right? And all the other causes that we made, whether it's time, karma, planets, ghosts, snakes, kings, everything, they are all they are not independent, because everything actually comes from the Lord himself. And then he also quotes the verse from Bhishma Dev Stuti. Remember the chapter 9, text number 16. Nahi asya karichit rajan puran veda vihitsitam yet vijigyasa yukta muyanti kavayopi. No one can understand the plan of Krishna, right? Because even those engaged in reasoning and scripture are bewildered by that, by Krishna, how Krishna is acting. Right? So that's what that was in when Bhishma was saying that, oh, why Pandavas had to go through all this? And he said, Nahi kashatit, nahi asya kashichit raja. Then no one can understand Krishna's plan. So we also cannot understand that, oh, why Krishna is giving me this token now? I was already going through so much and Krishna gave me now. Maybe he can give me later. No one can understand. Krishna knows what is the best one. And then he also, explains further that why cannot you say that the Atma is the cause, right? Because we know the living entity is dependent on the society, the nature. We are not independent, right? So we ourselves are dependent on other factors. So how can we say we are the cause? Then planets, maybe the planets are the cause. So no, we cannot say that because they are dependent on time, right? So then karma, he said. Karma we cannot say because it is insentient, right? We cannot say karma is not a personality, it's insentient. So we cannot blame karma. Dharma, we cannot blame dharma because it's all based on a prarabdha and aprarabdha karma. Swabhava is also not exclusive. So one by one he's rejecting everything. And finally he says the Lord is the ultimate cause. Okay, so text 21, let's proceed.
Before I read, can I just clarify something?
Yeah.
So is it correct to understand that this is an internal mood that the cause of my suffering is Krishna's behind it all, but on the external level, we may still need to take responsibility for mistakes we make, or we may have to chastise somebody. So is it like, am I correct to understand that this is an internal attitude, but externally we may need to do some actions to correct the situation?
Externally, so internally, yes, this is the mood of a devotee. He knows that nothing is, I'm put in this situation, it is Krishna's arrangement for me to learn a lesson. Now, externally, let's say, we feel, actually in any situation, the mood of a devotee is also that of humble. That he'll say that, okay, here is a situation, there's something happened between me and the other person, I'll beg forgiveness. So he may do that externally, he may show that mood of forgiveness, that is there. But also the mood of like correcting others, it depends on if we are in that right position. If someone is actually a guru and he's seeing that, oh, this person has made a mistake, and because of which the suffering is there, he may see that and he may correct the guru. So that way, even the guru is actually, being a representative of the Lord to actually show us that, this is why we are put in the situation for our purification. Is there anything more specific you are thinking?
Yeah, so in a role of a teacher or Maharaj is still going to chastise Kali. So if you have that role, you can still correct. You don't just say, oh, Krishna's in charge and this is Krishna's plan. You still take some action if you have that position, right?
Yes, for sure. Yes. So, we are talking of, as you nicely said, it's the internal mood of a devotee that he sees everything as a sanction of the Lord, right? Mm-hmm. External, as if that is your role as a position, like here Parikshit, it is his position, his duty is that his paro dharma as a king is to actually punish the miscreant. So he's still going to do that.
Yeah.
Right. But from dharma's point of view, he's actually saying that.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Next 21. Sutta uvacha evam dharme pravadati sa samradvija satamaha samahitena manasa vikeda paryachashtatam. Sutta Goswami said, O best among the Brahmanas, the Emperor Parikshit, thus hearing the personality of religion speak, was fully satisfied, and without mistake or regret, he gave his reply.
When Parikshit heard this, like one may say, Parikshit may have been confused. That right here, Kali is beating, and I'm just asking you to tell the name. Why are you not telling? But when Dharma gave this answer, Parikshit was actually pleased. It says, what's the word? Yeah, Manasa. Okay, so that is he replied. But it says like he was very pleased within Manasa. Yeah, he was very pleased. And then without mistake or regret, he gave a reply because Parikshit himself is a devotee of the Lord, he could actually understand why Dharma is not pointing out the culprit. So Prabhupada makes a point. Because the emperor, being on an equal level of sagacity, replied to the point without any mistake. So he wasn't like confused and said like, why are you doing this? No. He could understand and he actually appreciated Dharma's response to this entire situation. And next verse, we'll see what Parikshit Maharaj says. Rajovacha 22.
I'll take Rajovacha Dharmam Bhavishi Dharmajna Dharmosi Varsharupatrik Rupatrik Yat Adharmakrit Sthanam Suchakasyapi Tat Bhaved. Translation. The king said, O you who are in the form of a bird, you know the truth of religion, and you are speaking according to the principle that the destination intended for the perpetrator of religious acts is also intended for one who identifies the perpetrator. You are no other than a personality of religion.
So first he says, Dharmam Bhavishi Dharmagya. So he's saying, the king is saying that you actually, Dharma Bhavishi, you actually know the principles of Dharma and actually you are Dharma personified. Right? Like Prabhupada is making the point that unless one knows the principles of Dharma, he cannot speak as Dharma has spoken. So for sure, he knows the principle of Dharma, and because he spoke with such intricate detail, he himself is Dharma personified. Right? So and like previously he had asked, like, who are you? And now he's saying, oh, I know you are Dharma. Right? So that's one point. The other point is, which is actually very wonderful. Your truth of religion, you're speaking according to principles of that. Okay. Now this point, you're speaking according to the principle that the destination intended for the perpetuator of irreligious acts is also intended for one who identifies the perpetuator. It is such a, you understand this point? Such a, like if, so Maharaj Parikshit is making the point that if Dharma had actually identified the perpetuator, he himself would actually be responsible, will have the same destination as the perpetrator. He himself would actually be involved with the sinful act of Kali actually chastising the Dharma. It's so interesting. Like, why would that be? So basically, the point is when we are, when Dharma is saying that if I would have pointed out that that person is the cause, that means that I don't have the proper understanding that finally Krishna is the sanction. And hence, even I am involved with this implication of karma. That I pointed out, that is now I am implied with this, I am implicated with this action of karma, right? Because I pointed out this, not knowing that finally ultimate sanction is Krishna. So even I am involved with this. So next place, I have to go where this person will now give me the same thing. And in that way, the karma will be balanced. It is so fine thinking. So
deep, Prabhuji.
Yeah, so deep. Like, it's like,
So deep.
how, it's like almost like, why would that person be responsible? He's innocent. He's offenseless. But he's making the point, if I pointed out, if I would have pointed, I would have got implicated with that guy.
Krishna. So that's why we should not point at others. Don't blame others.
I know. I'll tell you a little funny story because it's like it's almost 3 hours and mind becomes it's less absorption at this point. But the story is maybe you have heard the story. So there was a king who was very charitable, and he said, "Okay, I'm going to distribute the prasadam to all the citizens, and I'm going to personally do it." Right? And then he comes out, and then he has this big pot of khichdi, and people are coming. All the citizens are coming. So one by one, he's serving, and very nice, like he's doing it. And once, he was serving, and it so happened that a bird was carrying a dead snake in his mouth, right, and flying on top. While the king was serving, the bird was flying on top with the dead snake in his mouth. And it so happened that while the king was serving, he took a spoon to serve. The bird was flying, but that snake, little poison to the left in the mouth, it dropped. And it fell in the spoon that the king was actually serving. So the poison went into the food, and then the person who had it, he died. Now Yamaraj and Yamadutas, they are actually discussing that now this person is killed, but whom should we blame? Who should get the karma for this act? They said, okay, so who is involved here? King. So should the king get the karma for this? Because it was the spoon that he gave and it had the poison in that. So king is responsible. But they said, no, the king cannot get this karma because his intention was pure. He was just giving charity, and what he did, it wasn't his fault. So king cannot get the karma. Then they said, the bird should get the karma. Then why should the bird get the karma? If the bird eats snakes, that is his food. And it was flying at that time, it wasn't doing anything wrong. Nothing wrong on the part of the bird. Why should the bird get the karma? Then he said, oh no, poison came from the snake. The snake should get the karma. The snake by default has poison. It wasn't the poison on purpose. The snake put the poison. There's no ban on the snake also. And then Yamaraj and Yamadutta are thinking, finally, who should get the karma? All the three personalities cannot get the karma. They are not responsible for it. And then they were looking at the scene and they were thinking, if we don't give the karma to someone, it's going to come to us. So we have to do something now. And then at that time, one lady, one of the citizens, she came and she started blaspheming the king. It is your fault. You have done this. It is you. You're a corrupt king. You have feeding poison to the citizens. And Yamaraj and Yamadutas were saying, she gets the karma. She is the one who is pointing out the fault. She gets the karma. So the one who is pointing out the fault gets actually involved with the karma. And Parikshit Maharaj is saying that only because your dharma, you know the principles of dharma, did you actually not point out the perpetrator? What you have done is glorious. What you have done is glorious. So Prabhupada points out in the purport that no one else could understand the finer intricacies of the code of religion. The last sentence. The finer intricacies of the code of religion. So as soon as there's a blame game, oh, you did this, I did this, you did this, I did this, we are implicated in the karma. And we'll have to come back. And again, because you said that you did this, then next time, the next lifetime or something, they'll come back and that person will do that. Like how they say, if someone has a, if you have, no, how does it work? Yeah, if you have a lot of debt to another person, right? You have a lot of debt to another person. Then many times, like, okay, it says, they say, according to the law of karma, that person next lifetime will come as your son and daughter and take away all your money, and that will repay the debt. So it's all like, that tit for tat game, tit for tat game. You did this, I did this. Yeah, it's just we are getting implicated. So it's like a very, like, even, it is difficult to implement, but it's a very powerful point. If someone comes and does something to us, we can meditate on this particular pastime. But finally, it's just Krishna. Why should I blame the instrument? He's just an instrument through which Krishna is actually giving me his mercy. Why should I blame him?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, I have a question. What about somebody is witnessing a murder and in the court, they want to find out, court or even the cops want to find out who did that.
Right.
Is it?
Yes.
Got
So
it.
again, going back to how Ratnavadika brought this up, this is our internal mood. Externally, we have to do the duties which we feel are actually according to our position, our dharma, circumstance, all those things externally we have to see and do it. And also, this does not mean that if someone is, if someone is in a position of being abused, and say like, no, this is all Krishna's token. And, at some point, he may have to, point that out to the higher authorities that, oh, I'm being abused by my teacher, and some action needs to be done. So externally, one may do all the things that are necessary, like your case, or you see a murder that, and the police say, oh, who's the culprit? That person is the culprit. But internally, we maintain that mood. And here when we see Dharma not pointing out the perpetrator, because in this circumstance, Dharma knows that Parikshit, as a glorious king, will do everything necessary. So I don't need to get involved as So in your example, right? Unless in your example, unless you point out that, oh, this person is responsible, the cops will not know. Certainly, that person will not escape the laws of nature. If he has committed the murder, then he'll be punished, right? But the cops may not punish him right away, and then he'll be punished later on. So it's better like the cops punish him, otherwise the punishment will come later during the period. So in this case, Dharma didn't have to say anything because he knew that Parikshit is, he himself knows Dharma, he's a representative of Lord, and he will give the punishment which is actually due. So I don't need to get involved in this thing. You see a difference between this case and your example that you're giving?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, I understand. Thank you so much.
So in this case, why is Dharma not fine? He knows that Parikshit is a glorious king. He's going to do what is supposed to be done, what is the right activity to do. I don't need to get it. But in our practical dealings, if that's not the case, someone gets abused or all those things, then you have to take it to the authority. You may have to say, this person is doing this and all those things. But internally, as a devotee, we maintain our
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Sorry, Mataji, go ahead.
Prabhuji, sometimes the people who are abused externally also, they actually don't have anyone to go to. So what could be their action? They can just talk to Krishna and beg for mercy.
But like see that part. The second part is like, okay, pray to Krishna. Krishna is always there for us. So the point is, okay, one may take more shelter of Krishna, but Krishna will make arrangements or either point out that this is the right person to talk to, and he'll make the arrangement. So yeah, in case there is no superior, turn to Krishna, and Krishna is make all the arrangements to actually make sure that things are taken care of in the best way possible. Is that okay? Yeah, Arun.
Yes, Prabhuji, thank
you. Yeah, Prabhuji, I just want to clarify one more thing. So when Draupadi was insulted in the assembly in the presence of Bhishma, Acharya, Drona, because though they are in the Acharya position and highest position as a great grandfather, they kept quiet. That's why they were punished and they got killed in the war of Kurukshetra. Is that correct, Prabhuji? That's how I read and I understood. Because they kept quiet, they did not say anything. They did not open their mouth.
So according to the principles of, see, when we are analyzing any situation, we can analyze it in terms of the level of dharma that we are seeing. So on the principle of morality or on the principle of dharma, you say, okay, because they did not speak, hence they need to be punished. Right? So that is true. That is one level. Right? But certain, again, you go ahead, you go more deeper, and you can see things from perspective of Krishna. Then you can say, well, Bhishma Dev is a devotee of Lord Shri Krishna, right? So the entire thing that happened, well, that is actually one way how we say it is the pastime. They are acting on a stage with Bhishma and Krishna having some intimate dealing, right? And that's why Bhishma took the opposite side, because he wanted to experience that Virya Rasa with Krishna. So that is another level of understanding, right? So there are multiple levels in which you can actually understand any situation. Right? And it's not that when we analyze something on the transcendental level, that would justify the activities on the moral level. Okay, morally they didn't speak, well, they have to get punished. So that is that. Transcendental level, and some other lessons to be learned.
Yeah, yes, Prabhuji. This is all for general public, if you, and yeah, totally. Yes, I got it. At the higher level, these are like Virya Rasa to give pleasure to Krishna. Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji.
So I think we'll stop here. Okay, so just we'll continue next time from the next verse, but just to give an overview of the remaining chapters. So after Maharaj Parikshit, there are like few more verses where Maharaj Parikshit is going to talk to Dharma, like 3 or 4 more verses, and the rest of the chapter is Maharaj Parikshit, who actually takes up his sword, and he's still, he's ready to chastise Kali. So we see that in spite of Dharma saying that, oh, I don't know who is the perpetrator, it's not that Kali is saying, okay, there is nothing I need to do, I have to go. No, I mean, sorry, Parikshit. He's not saying I have nothing to do. No, he says, because Dharma knows that Parikshit is such a glorious king, he will do the right thing. And he knows Kali is right there. He takes his sword, ready to kill Kali. And then Kali surrenders, and then we'll see the rest of the chapter. Okay, so stop here. So any final comments, realization?
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, regarding that text number 17, the Guru and Acharya. So I would like to say, like you mentioned that 10.2.31 and in the CC Madhya Lila 19.151, Brahman Parmite Kauna Bhagya Jiva Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bija. So it's a very interesting and I like that one. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Like, is this like, what is your understanding of this whole section? Because this is like, this is like the theme of the chapter, the main thing. Remaining, like, the rest of the chapter, we can go a little fast. Like, it is basic, I think, points that you have heard about, like how Maharaj Parikshit gives the 4 places, and then Kali says, well, there's no 4 places, and he gives gold, and so on. So, but this is the key point about why Dharma did not point out the perpetrator and what answer and how Parikshit is dealing. That entire conversation is actually the key essence. A lot of learning lesson is just in this conversation.
That's huge, Prabhuji. That main theme is so huge. It can be immediately applied and taken every day. Why we cannot immediately say this is the reason, and understanding the reason in multiple levels. That's huge. Yes, it could be karma. It could be some other reason. Finally, this is the Krishna's plan to give us some message and understanding to get us closer to him. That's the final thing.
Thank you, Madhu, for sharing.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yeah, I was thinking like when we are in a situation where we are going to blame somebody, we have to take a moment and think whether it's proper to do that. Whether it's an externally we have to do it, or we should leave it to Krishna. So that kind of we have to step back, think about it, and then react. And that might be difficult, but always take Krishna's mercy on that one. But this is very powerful, Prabhuji.
Like I've seen generally for, at least, like for sadhaka, it's like immediately the mind would actually say, oh, that person did it. It's all because of him. Why did he do that? Doesn't he know better? All the mind. But because we are actually empowering us with Shastra, it's just like some time, that immediate reaction after it goes away, then we actually start to think in terms of Bhagavatam. And then, all these points come. That's why Bhagavatam is so empowering. That initially our mind, because it's immediate, because our mind is so accustomed to that. Oh, this person, like immediately it will all complain. But just gradually it will oh, this is Bhagavatam, this example. Why I'm blaming it is just like Krishna is beautiful. All those thoughts come, and that's so powerful. And as we progress in that spiritual life, that period, when the mind is complaining, it reduces. And as we progress, become advanced, then anyone says anything, immediately Bhagavatam comes in the picture and says, he's just an instrument.
Yes, Prabhuji, I have always, like, hindsight is 2020. In my life, whenever I have acted that way, like blaming others, I always regretted it later on. Why have I not been, why have I done that? So now, this is very powerful, Prabhuji. This is very, very nice.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. And it's good you brought up, I think, Ratnarika, and you brought up those points that it's an Arundhati Mataji, that like, yes, that is our internal cultivation, but that does not say that, okay, externally I'm not doing. There may be situations where externally we have to do the needful. It's not that someone is like abusing us and we just externally there may be need of certain, and that's why there's always always we should have the spiritual mentors or some mentors to talk to and say, like, okay, this is what has happened. Like, is this something that I need to tolerate, or is there some action? And then the spiritual mentors can further give guidance and see from another perspective and say, okay, yes, Bhagavatam principles are this is how you apply them internally. Externally, this needs to be done, we'll take care of it.
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. I about to say that, but sometimes we have to take action externally, depends upon situation. We know Bhagavatam and Lord Krishna's arrangement plan, but we don't have to like sit with holding hands. We have to do also, right?
So what we do in every circumstance is very specific to that circumstance, and hence, when we are doing it, let it not be just our mind telling.
Yeah.
That's why just talk to a spiritual mentor, seek guidance, and then you act on a particular situation.
Okay.
One more thing I wanted to bring up, Prabhuji, like during the Holocaust, it was said that it is not the action, but the inaction of the people who were witnessing all the horror and did not do anything that is to be blamed. So that is very similar to this discussion, right? But if there is a serious serial killer and we know that he's going to commit the sin again, so externally we have to stop that, right? Is it our duty to do that, or again, like step back and think about?
Every circumstance is very specific to that circumstance. And material world is so complicated that it's not always 1 and 2. But if you're saying something like, oh, serial killer, I need to point it out, then for sure you have to do the needful. That's what I'm doing that. If it's going to, like, how we see Parikshit Maharaj, like we read the verses today. If there is someone who is actually causing sufferings to those who are abala, who are innocent, who are offenseless, if he's causing suffering, then that person needs to be punished for the badram of the sadhuna, of the innocent. Right? So that's also another point that we have been reading through this chapter. So, so those with a mischief monger, he needs to be punished. Right? And if again, we can say that if we are actually in a situation where we are being put there, that we can actually be an instrument to cause punishment to the mischief monger, then we see that, oh, Krishna is actually using me in that way. So that also we see Krishna's hand in that situation and say, Krishna is using me in that way so that other innocent people may not be punished. And so on. Okay, so I think 10:06. So we'll stop here. And thank you all so much for your association. And sorry we started late, to rush to work to do the class. And so tomorrow we'll have the exam. So any questions in the exam, or is it okay?
I have a question, Prabhuji.
Okay, about the exam?
Yes. The long, it says long answer essay questions. Is it how many sentences we have to write? Because some of the questions I noticed that they are, not like 1 or 2 sentences, they might be more. So how should we answer this?
So see, there are 2 things. One is closed book essay questions and one is open book essay questions, right? So I'm not going to ask the open book essay questions in the exam.
No, I'm talking about the closed books.
Yeah, okay. So
Yeah.
even closed book essay questions, if it is something that's very long, I have kind of cut short the answer, cut short the question. I have like reduced the question so that it would be
Oh, okay.
six
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
sentences. Like also one general point I want to make is the first section of the exam is the short answers. And I have seen some students spend a long time writing elaborate answers for the first thing, and then finally for the other part where you need to write longer answers, that you don't have time. And then it happens that the first section has long answers and second section has short answers. So please don't do that. The first section is short, right? It could be just one sentence, just the key point, right? One or two sentences, key point. Just keep it to that. What is the key essential point here? Just bring that up, right? And then the second section is where you have longer. So that 3 to 6 sentences, you can elaborate a little bit more. But please don't spend, too much time on each of the short question. Just keep it brief, to the point. Okay. Any other question with the exam?
Prabhuji, I don't see my grade of the last essay or the last exam, and also the shloka recitation is also not updated. So I don't know. Maybe I.
So see, like the whole thing I wanted to do is Google Drive, is that once you have the link and when I update it, you should be able to see the thing on your side. But maybe there's something not working here because that's how it works, right? When you share a Google Drive, like I update something, you should be able to see right away. But I think some students are having problem with that. But okay, Mataji, I will see. Yeah. You can always, by chance if I don't follow up, please feel free to message me a second time. If I forget, then I can update everything. So your essays for the previous section is, I have done few, I have not done all, so that is not there. But except for those essays, everything else should be up to date.
In that score that you write, even my shloka recitation is not updated. I don't see the score there, and
So
I
that
don't
I
see
think
the graded closed book last exam also. So it's some problem with sharing. Yeah.
No problem with sharing. Okay, we can work together and fix that.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So thank you so much. Kantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhuveva cha Pativanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo. Thank you all so much, for spending Christmas here studying Bhagavatam. The real nectar, a real way of spending a holiday. So, and then I was thinking afterwards that tomorrow the exam is scheduled. I hope it is okay for everyone, because I hope people are not blaming that, oh, long weekend, now we have to study Bhagavatam. And but this is actually, you get taste for these things, and this is the real nectar that we look for. It's like, oh, vacation, let's go deeper into Bhagavatam, let's study more. That's what is our mood. But anyway, like, if there's any situation where the time is, okay, can we do it later, then please feel free to let me know that, okay, this festival is coming up, or this is happening, or travel. And we can work out the time that's convenient for all of you. So I'm open to that. I'm flexible with those times.
Prabhuji, thank you for your dedication. You traveled to your workplace and still did this. Very nice. Thank you so much.
Yeah, yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you
You
all.
are an exemplary role model to all of us. How sincere we should be in learning Bhagavatam. 20 minutes drive. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Yeah, it was not too far. I'm happy to come and be an instrument to study Bhagavatam with all of you. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you
Hare
so
Krishna.
much.
Thank you, Hare Krishna devotees.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.